The following is a presentation of iRacing.com Motorsports Simulations on LSRTV, the voice of sim racing.
Welcome tonight to the center of all racing, to the sandy beaches of Daytona, the virtual Daytona International Speedway, as we begin anew with our friends in the United Sim Racing League with the 2017-2018 BNC Lawn and Landscaping Truck Series. LSRTV is glad to have you with us tonight, and for the 30 races that are to come this season as we crown a champion in May of 2018. I'm Austin Coop alongside Kelly Dahl and Cisco Scarmuzza. He is our producer tonight, as always, and this is for the running of the season opener, the BNC Lawn and Landscaping 250. Kelly, another season, another day for these guys to go out racing, and it's plate track racing. You've done a lot of that lately here with us, and you know, this is a big field. We've got 40 trucks tonight, and it's, you know, we run so many. These guys are so good at the plate tracks after so much time because they can have so much experience with it. And I think for these guys as a season opener, we're gonna see some guys that are not as aggressive in this race, but I think we'll see that some guys and girl actually Stephanie Lessentine making an appearance for this season are gonna really we're definitely gonna see a lot of strategies happening just because it's the first race of the season, and I think everyone's going to have those first race kind of nervousnesses, but I think those will get out as we have 100 laps tonight.
Yeah, I've been excited for this for the last few days. This is such a great series to watch and to be a part of. These guys are some of the best racers, not just in the trucks, but on ovals in general. They're very clean, very skilled, and I'm sure we're going to have a very exciting race here at Daytona. These guys know how to handle these trucks. They're going to keep these things in line, hopefully nice and clean for a long time. And one of the things that we usually end up talking about with the USR series, because they end up racing so clean, is pit strategy. These guys will go green long enough that the pits will come into play. So it's going to be interesting to see who's going to work with who tonight and how these guys are going to work together to work their way up to the front.
And if you go back to last season, it was Scott Simley who won the championship in extraordinary fashion, going and winning each round by virtue of points, which it will be the same system this series or this season. If you watched last season, it was each stage, if you got the most points, you were in. If you didn't make it, you weren't a part of that top group, you didn't make it. So it's gonna be the same way this season as it was last season, and Scott Simley won all 4 rounds, and I'm sure we'll expect him to do great things in this series as well. Other drivers that were noted in that series, Jamie Walker, and you've got a ton of other guys. Of course, Scott Simley, Justin Michaels, also another notable that we'll see. Bobby Terrell, he's also another driver that we see do really well. Randy Yoakum, we've seen him run a lot in here. He's a veteran in this series. So a lot of guys that we'll see in this series, and we saw last season, and it's really cool to see these guys come back so much. You know, there's a lot of leagues that will have a lot of turnover, but these guys, this is a really good core group that we see just week in and week out. And I actually got the privilege to see them during their off season, and they had a little bit of a summer series. Same thing as this, basically, just with a short season. And it was really fun to watch these guys as they had that little off season.
Yeah, the familiarity of names here that we've got just shows how good this series is. You got guys that raced last season and just liked it so much that they will wait an entire year just to roll back around so they can do this one more time. And so many of these names here we've seen over the last few years, like not just the ones you mentioned, but we also you see Michael W. Waters, Robert Gillenwater, Jeff Ryan, Chris Guillebeau. These are all guys that have run last season and I believe even seasons before. So it's a lot of guys that not only have experience with these trucks, but also experience with each other. So they know how everyone else is going to race and how they can form strategies around what they believe that other driver is going to do. So there's a lot of mind games that happens in this series, and it becomes very interesting to watch.
Some things to note before we kick off the season tonight is that there is only a few things that have actually changed from last season, and that'll be that there is a slight rule change with the way that EOLs and cautions happen. If you create a caution during the race and you don't claim that you did it at the end of the race, if it is deemed under you, it's no longer just an EOL or a end of the line. It's a pure, just only point deduction, and it's a solid 20 points no matter what. So no matter what happens, 20-point deduction. So I think that's pretty clear and cut, so everyone knows exactly what's going on. And then for the schedule, we've got a long schedule, and if you go to the United Sim Racing's league page on iLeagues.com, you can definitely find them and see that their schedule is very, very interesting. I'll have to say, we took a look at it, and Watkins Glen is their first elimination race during the playoff chase scenario, so that'll be fun to watch as the grid has been set. And we will have Stephanie Lesentine as our pole winner for this season. And I do believe she's also the first female pole winner in this league. So pretty cool to see that here. And then you've got Tim Matthews going to be alongside her on the front row. Justin Michael, he'll start in third place tonight, with Michael W. Waters starting in fourth. Bobby Terrell, he'll start in the fifth position. Then you've got Mark McCrary, he'll start in the sixth position. Robert Gillenwater, seventh. Jeff Ryan, eighth. Chris Gibeau will start ninth. And then Michael Atkins Jr. will start off in the top 10.
Starting in 11th will be the 18 of Ricky Howell Jr. Alongside him, Joshua Banks will be rolling off in 12th. Scott Simley takes our 13th position. 14th goes to the 89 of Corey Harridges. James Nunn rolls off in 15th. 16th, we see the 04 of Brian Cutts. 17th, Randy Yoakum. 18th, Lewis Robinette. George Hendricks takes home the 19th spot. And rounding out our top 20 is the 01 of Dwight Beverly.
Starting in the 21st position, it'll be Randy Tesser. Then Nicholas Nugent will start 22nd. Scott Formosa starts 23rd. Channing Slatcha starts in the 24th position. Then you've got Jesse Williams and Matt Mara starting 25th and 26th. The remaining drivers have not, did not make a time or had an issue during their qualifying time. So Michael Priester starts 27th. Aaron Bennett, he'll start in the 28th position. Then you've got Richie Jett and Cody Gibson in the 30th position.
31st, we see the 88 now of Jamie Walker. Slight number change for that driver. The 91 of John Jenkins rolls off in 32nd. 33rd, the 33 of Keith Butt. Michael Warren runs out in 34th. 35th, Ralph Vandervorst. 36th, Michael Waite. John Wilco comes out in 37th. 38th to the 11 of Shane Hawther. Stephen Herring comes out in 39th, and rounding out our 40 truck field with a 12 of Brian Hitz. Trucks take the field tonight, and that is a large field, especially not only for the truck series in general, but for this track. And it will definitely prove to be an interesting race, as Daytona is slightly different from Talladega in the fact it's a little bit narrower. It's a lot harder to run 3 wide here at this track. It doesn't really feel like there is 3 comfortable lanes. So if these guys are running 2x2 and they come up to a slower lap traffic, it's going to be a little bit more nerve-wracking as they come to lap them.
Yeah, and coming back out to the front of the field, Stephanie Lesentine in that 25 truck. Something about starting up towards the front is that you kind of get the spotlight, and she has that Vegas strong truck, so that's really a cool sight to see. Not only her getting the pole in general, but just the truck that she is sporting tonight. And of course, we have all made our said what we have to say about it, and really support everyone that's around it. But really cool to see that Vegas strong truck right up towards the front, as she and Tim Matthews will start first and second tonight. And it's going to be a real fun one to watch, Kelly. We've seen a lot of super speedway action on Fridays, but these guys are a little bit different how they approach it. I know they're going to be a little bit more reserved in these beginning runs, and Man, this will be a really fun race to watch as all 40 trucks are lined up here tonight behind the iRacing pace car, and it will dive down to pit road shortly, and we will get this thing rolling with 100 laps tonight at Daytona International. And there's the green flag, 2x2, 20 rows deep. We will go Daytona racing.
And a great push from Justin Michael to push Stephanie Lessentine out front, and she is now completely clear of that second row. A great two-truck run from those two at the moment, but look at that 54 on the outside. He's now going to get a bit of a bump job from the 55, still not quite getting up to speed. He's losing even more ground, so a great move from Justin Michael and Stephanie Lessentine, and they are starting to break away already.
A big break from that those first two trucks, but what these trucks have sometimes we don't see in the Cups cars is that there is a really good draft package with these trucks, and we'll definitely see that all night. That outside lane, look, it wasn't as good at the start. We don't typically see it very good at the start, but look, it's already coming back just a little bit on the outside. 54 of Tim Matthews, he's already back to his second position on the outside, and Stephanie Lessentine looks like she'll lead her first lap in her very first race in this league, so that's a really cool thing to see. And then there's a long string of drivers, still too wide on the outside, but 2x2 for the first 4 positions, and you leave that string back to the back where a lot of drivers have started to string out. It looks like your top 10 is only under a blanket, and then after that you kind of have a little bit of single file, and then you've got quite a ways, and you've got a second pack starting around 20th position. So we'll definitely keep our eyes on all the action that's going around, because you know how Daytona racing is. It's going to be just about everywhere, but the front is where it's at.
Yeah, and it's surprising at how well that Justin Michael and Stephanie Lessentine are leading this race. Look at the gap between them and that 14 truck. Just because they do not have as much help as that outside line, but here comes that outside line. A great run now from Tim Matthews, and he's going to pull completely even up with Stephanie. Going into turn 1, he will have the advantage by just a nose, but with this outside line, they will lose a bit of speed coming around the corner. But watch now as they head on to the Daytona super stretch. See how much of a run he is going to possibly get down here.
31 of Mark McCrary, I think, once he gets into this, he's on the outside lane, 3 rows back, and he's got that orange Bass Pro Shots paint scheme. And I would say that once he gets up to the 55 of Michael Waters, he will, I think he'll change the game. But the 14 of Bobby Terrell, he can also do the same thing, still sporting that muscle milk machine as he did last year. And as we said last season, a lot of familiar faces, and those two definitely familiar in this league. And really the top 5, except for Stephanie, is really, top 6 has really been here for quite a while. I guess I could just say the entire field, really, so many familiar drivers. It's really cool to see all these drivers coming back. But that outside line needs a little bit of oomph right there. Just kind of the nature of how it works. But as soon as I say that, the outside lane coming back again just a little bit, and they're just a little bit spread out. I think that they could be up there towards the bumper, Kelly. I think we both know that. I just don't think they're pressing it right now.
No, it's very easy for the 31, the 14, and all those other drivers in that pack to really bunch up and push. But if you look through the field, it's really only those front 4 that are bumper to bumper trying to push hard. Everyone else is kind of taking it easy and also trying to keep the fresh air going into those engines, because if you are pushing as hard as the 55 and that 87 are, those engines are going to get warm, and you got to keep an eye while racing this track, not only on your fuel, your tires, but you also have to watch your temperatures. If you're pushing this hard, those temperatures can easily climb. You're not getting as much clean and cool air into the engine, and if you're not careful, you can easily blow an engine and ruin your night here.
And you're starting to see the stack up on the bottom lane right now. It looks like Lessentine's starting to get some help from the 14 who pushed the 87 of Justin Michael there just a little bit. And you can see the speed they're starting to get. They're almost clear of the 54 of Tim Matthews, and not quite yet. But that good push from the 14 did make that possible. It seems that he gave the push but then backed off right there. And you know, they're so close to that yellow line here in the tri-oval. That will be something to think about, of course, through the long run. But they are just basically bumper to bumper for those first 4 spots, and everyone else is kind of, I think, just a little bit cooled out. But either way, no matter which way you slice it, there's still, I think, even the first 4 drivers right here, they're still being pretty conservative. If the 54 really wanted the position earlier, I think he could have slid across her nose and made it happen. But really, that's not happening right now, and I just know that the way these races work, there's a slight bit of luck and a slight bit of making your own luck, and you can make yourself have bad luck if you make a move that's not very smart on lap 5 or 6. So as we round lap number 7, I think that's a lot what they're thinking. It's a long chess match that will last about 100 laps.
And I think another thing that will come into play is the tires. I'm hearing as they come around these corners every so often, I'm hearing the tires chirp a little bit. So it sounds like they're sliding just a little bit through these turns. So I think that's another reason why the 31 and the 14. And here comes the 87. He's going to move to the outside line in front of the 54, leaving Stephanie all on her own. Big run from the 87. He's going to get clear, drop right down in front of Stephanie. So now moving to the lead is that 87 of Justin Michael. Just a little swap of positions on that bottom side. It's probably going to be a little bit for the best. It'll allow Justin Michael to cool off his engine, and it allows Stephanie now to push as hard as she can because she's got that cool engine. She has a lot of time that she can work pushing right up to that bumper.
The lead change. Justin Michael leads his first lap for the night, and definitely think that that was a very orchestrated pass by the 87. You can see it happening in the last lap right around this area of the track where he started looking up the track, started looking up, and then made the move, and the 54 had nowhere to go. He had to push him, and at that point he had so much momentum. And to be honest, that actually that one pass made a huge accordion effect throughout the entire field behind them. Also, the driver is actually getting a little bit into each other around the 10th place position around Chris Cabio, Ricky Howell Jr., and Robert Gillenwater. Those guys on the bottom lane, those guys were actually getting a little bit physical. I think just because of Lessentine being so slow in comparison, because she had no push, it made that bottom lane really bunch up. So definitely something that was only a one car pass, or 2 car pass, I guess you could technically say. It made a huge momentum shift through the guys behind them.
Yeah, it's a little bit difficult to see what's ahead of you in these trucks. If you don't have brake lights, so you can't really look ahead to see if someone's tapping the brakes or lifting off the gas. And it's with the way these trucks are also built, it's a little bit difficult to see through the back window to look in front of them. So you really have to just play reactionary here on these plate tracks. And now that Stephanie is slotted in behind, look how hard she is pushing. As I mentioned, she had that cool engine, so now she can push right up to the bumper. In comparison, look at the 55. He's been pushing this entire race. He has to worry about his engine temp, so he's leaving a larger gap. And now it's allowing that bottom line to get the better run than the top side on these straightaways.
We're on lap number 10 at the moment, and 39 trucks still on the field. It looks like Channing Slatcha has fallen off quite a lot on the field, and looks like Shane Hawthor, Brian Cutts as well, and Ralph van der Vorst might also be one of those drivers that has just kind of fallen off. Some of them by choice, some of them not by choice. They just kind of lost the draft, and so we have a lot of drivers just kind of really far behind this pack. You know, you've got the top 18 cars within 1 second of each other, and then the rest of the field starts to really spread out between 1 second, a couple seconds, and then as much as 10 seconds away from each other. Just the nature of how this goes. Do you want to be up there? Do you want to fight for that top spot and get every spot in case this race goes green all the way, or do you want to wait for that caution, which sometimes you could definitely say is inevitable with this group of guys and girl? You know, you could definitely say that these guys might actually have a shot at going green for quite some time, go through those pit cycles, and you know, if you're by yourself for that long a time, you could go a lap down, and it's not going to be a pretty race for you.
Big push from the 55 that time down the super stretch. He was right up to the bumper, the 54, giving a huge bump draft, and that allowed the 54 to get right back into this race. And one of the things I've noticed over these last couple laps is these trucks are starting to deal with a little bit of tire wear. They're moving around on these corners just a little bit more, and throughout the race that may cause problems if someone can't adapt to the tire wear that's starting to form. And that's not something we usually talk about at Daytona. We don't usually have to deal with tire wear all that much, but it sounds like these trucks are working the tires a lot more than they usually do around this track.
A lot of action going on the track, and even if it's not up there towards the front, it looks like the 30 of Lewis Robinette made a quick dive down to the bottom to get on the bottom lane, saw that there was no push and no draft to be given on that, and so he'll get a good push from somebody I think that would be a really smart idea to stick with. That's Scott Simley, past series champion, 2-time champion the last 2 seasons. And if you want to be pushed by anybody, if you want to be hooked up with anybody, He'd be the 68. He knows how to get done. He's won 2 championships in a row with these guys, so definitely know that the 68's a good guy to be with. And he's kind of in a spot where if anything is to happen, he's still kind of in the thick of it with this group. But they're getting pretty, they're just kind of, I think they're about half a truck length at the most between some of them on the top side, but that bottom side's starting to really bunch up. And I think they could really be fast here in the next couple of laps.
As you mentioned that, look at the run on the outside. That 54 getting a great push from the 55. Not quite getting clear just yet. Justin Michael able to hold off just enough, but here comes another opportunity for them. Stephanie Lesentine is going to have to get right up to that bumper, the 87, to help him out, or else they may lose this position. The 54 may slot out in front, but a better run from the inside line that time going through the tri-oval. These guys are, this pack is really starting to bunch up now. These guys are really trying to fight for these positions, as they are completely even up on the front end.
And this is something we don't see in a lot of the other cars, the NASCAR race cars. It's just because of the fact that the drive packages are so much different. But that outside, he can clear him right now if he wants to, and he's going to do that. That's going to be a lead change right there. Tim Matthews is going to do that, but that means that the outside is going to have a pretty good push, but that does not actually happen. The 55 of Michael Waters, he does not get the push that you think typically happens because the 54 destroys momentum on the bottom. So 54 Tim Matthews, he'll lead this lap, and I think it might be one of his first. I don't think it'll be his first because he was out front for so long on that front row, but after 15 laps, he was there the whole time. He finally gets it.
And now the 31 is going to have to become the pusher. He was holding off for quite a bit earlier, but now, unless he gets up to the bumper soon, they may lose even more ground. And there's an opportunity now for even the 87 to make a counterattack as that outside line starts to pick up a bit of momentum.
They're lower on numbers since Matthew went down to the bottom, and I think that's only natural for these guys to start slipping back just a little bit. But that also gives those guys on the bottom, Lesentine, and then the 14 of Terrell. If they get far enough in front of those guys from the outside, they may be able to make a pass as well. So I think that's always it's always a little fun trait that those guys in the 3rd and 4th position on the bottom row, underneath that second line, still has enough momentum to do something. So definitely looking at that. 15 laps into this race, and it may not seem like there's a lot of action, but they're running so close to each other. It just makes one mistake, and you know these drivers are so close to each other. One mistake, one little itty bitty bump, and we saw that with Robert Gillenwater just for a moment. As they're going to go 3 wide with a lap car right here. This could be those moments that get really iffy with these drivers, but they make it around clean. At least this first pack does. They'll be able to do that just fine, which is also a good thing. You know, they knew it was coming. They had a lot of drivers talking, and he'll be another lap car here, and a good place to get the lap car. But definitely getting about to lap 20 here. We'll be seeing pit stops between that lap 20 and lap 30 mark, I do believe. Kelly, I think you know these trucks a little bit more better than I do about their fuel strategy, though.
Yeah, they are. Oh, before I can even mention that, the 87 has moved to the top side to cut off the 55. He's going to make a push for the lead, but the 55 not really helping. He immediately gets off the bumper of the 87. It looks like he almost let off the gas. He, for some reason, just did not want to help him past the 54. And that will cut off any chance that 87 had of making a run that time by. But now they get up to the bumper. There is a 3-truck chain on that top side, combating that only the 2-truck chain on the bottom. The 87 getting a great run this time by, but it's not going to be enough to get him at the line. They're going to be completely even up now going into turn number 1.
I will say that Michael has a lot of momentum typically, and right now he does have a good push from the 55 of Waters. He was pushing the 54 of Matthews earlier. Those two were really in sync and in tandem for quite some time, and Matthews was able to muscle it on the outside. But other than that, it's really been this 4-horse race right now. Matthews, Michael, Lesentine, and Waters, and then I guess you can throw Terrell in there now since he's kind of getting in this group. But everyone behind him just hasn't really been able to get a shot at it. You know, going 3 wide is not really it is an option, but you just won't typically have the support from any of these other drivers to do that, especially on lap 19. And you know, when you're in the 5th, 6th, 7th position, you really can't do a whole lot except for push and maybe get lucky. So qualifying up front, really, really important, especially when you're trying to get the lead on lap 19, 20 on a green flag run like this. And you know, keeping it's not the easiest thing. Getting it's not the easiest thing if you're in that first couple of positions, or first few positions. But outside of that, you kind of just have to wait almost. You almost just have to wait for something to happen and then really make a good decision when it does.
Another thing for these guys a little bit back in these packs is to try to make friends in this early stage of the race. You help someone out, make a move to the outside with them. They may remember it later on in the race when you need someone to come with you to the high side. So these guys are just going to try to keep in line, try not to anger anyone, work together as they can so far. And we probably will be coming up on green flag stops not too long from now. These guys are limited to only 60% of their maximum fuel capacity in these trucks, so that only leaves them with maybe just over 25 laps of fuel. So these guys are going to start thinking about when they're going to come down pit road, and they're probably going to see a lot of these guys on the high side try to shuffle down to the inside line to give them that free lane to go down pit road.
And you start speaking of teammates and working together, I start thinking about that second pack around the 20th position or the 22nd position. Jamie Walker in that 88. He's sporting a new number this year. He was a 17 last year. Aaron Bennett, Cody Gibson, and company behind them, they're sitting 14 seconds back behind this pack, just kind of, I'd say, chilling out. Just kind of just letting it happen, letting everyone else in front of them do the battles that they're going to do. And you know they're waiting for them to have an accident. I think when you run these kind of races, you just kind of expect it to happen. And so they're sitting around 20th position, 14 seconds back. You know, not really worrying about a darn thing at all. But while they're in turn one, you're going to look back, and then you got the entire field all the way going off turn number 4 right now. So it's a pretty big gap. But, you know, as we go green and as these guys start getting single file, looks at the 14 truck. He's going to get a little loose on the bottom, and he's going to make everybody go scattered. 3 wide, 4 wide for a moment, and that is a little bit of a scary moment here. The tri-oval, it's not over yet, and the 2 is going to get hit. And they're still wrecking on the top side, and I think that still stays green for the moment.
A lot of trucks in trouble, a lot of them lifted off, a few of them into the wall.
Oh, it's backstretch. That's where the caution's going to happen. 55's in it. Big hit. 30 as well.
I think that was the problem with the tire wear, and that has built up, that wreck built up all the way from that tri-oval. The 55 was in trouble. There was a couple of trucks that ended up in the outside wall and when they went 3 wide coming through turn number 1 and 2, and that was just a wreck that took a long time to happen. A lot of trucks got into each other, a lot of speed differential. 55 and the 2 really got into each other coming out of turn number 2. Caused a lot of trucks to check up, and the 2 just got absolutely hammered by a few trucks that still had momentum.
I don't know about you, but that's one of the longest accidents that was waiting to happen I think I've ever seen. I mean, some of these guys did such a great job of just keeping control, staying up the wall, knowing that they've already got a damaged truck wide, really someone else's night, but then it just kind of kept on going, and then I'm not sure what happened with the second one. We'll see on the replay, but looks like the 2 and the 55 actually just didn't know they were there. They didn't know they were net. They were 3 wide at that point, and they just got into each other, and it was on from there for those guys. So, bad luck for some of these guys. A lot of trucks have damage, and we'll definitely see who does, who doesn't by the end of this, but that's going to really shape a huge different story for this race.
And that's another thing. A lot of series will throw on a fast repair for super speedways. This series, though, you have no fast repair. You can take any damage, well, you're going to have to go down pit road, and you are going to have to wait until that is fixed. So hopefully some of these guys, that damage isn't as bad as it may seem. There are a few guys, though, that did take a huge hit there. But as you were saying, that is definitely the longest wreck I've ever seen. That was a full half a lap around Daytona before they finally wrecked it. Here comes everyone down pit road. Tim Matthews will lead them down, and we're going to have to see who can get the cleanest stop to maybe take a few positions here.
With the way the tires have been and the way the long run that they've had, I can assume that a lot of them are going to take the four tire stop. Oh, look at the 87. He does not make his box, so I don't know what the strategy is going to be for him. He's not settled yet until just about now. So Lessentine is going to take 2 tires. Looks like Tim Matthews might have just taken 2 tires as well. So a lot of 2 tire takers, despite what has been going on the track with the tire wear. You're going to see a lot of drivers take forward as well for the stability, but I don't know if it's necessary for some of those drivers, but I'm thinking that the longer the runs go, that those drivers with 2 tires may have issues, as you see the order that they left pit road on the left side of your screen.
And you want to talk about big movers. Joshua Banks comes into the pits in 7th place, comes out of them. It looks like he's 3rd. So a great stop from him. I believe he also just took 2 tires, so that may be another issue. Maybe these guys are only working those outside tires. They definitely had some time. They had a long practice session to see how these trucks were going to react. So there's definitely going to be a few different strategies that are going to be felt out here. Now, these guys with the 2 tires, they did get the faster stop. However, those trucks may not be as stable through the corners now. They might have that uneven grip. So hopefully those left sides weren't being worked as much, and they only really do need to change the right sides every stop.
It's also possible if they're getting loose to get left side onlys, and I did not see any of those drivers do that. Typically, you'll see that at nighttime races, but maybe so the car will actually get a little bit tighter depending on how you want it to go. You know, tire strategies is always something that we talk about at some of the larger tracks, but at the super speedways, I think it's always a matter of strategy about getting yourself up there towards the front, no matter if the car is loose or not, because your foot to the floor, pedal to the metal. You know, trying to just make the car as fast as possible, and if it handles kind of well, a lot of drivers are just gonna try and deal with it. Although I think what happened with the last caution, of course, was getting on the apron, but some of these drivers don't care as much, I don't think, about the tire wear, and I think even certain drivers might try and just do the 2 tire deal the whole time. So really, we'll have to see. You know exactly how the pit stops continue to happen, but so far, 2 tires seems like the way these leaders want to do it.
Yeah, we're really going to see how well that works out within these first 1 or 2 laps after we get that green flag. Some of these guys, with going into turn 1 and 2, they may feel that truck get a little upset, so hopefully these guys use that long practice session to feel out what the different opportunities were available to them. So hopefully these guys do know what the truck's going to react like with the just the outside tires being changed, because I've seen a few times where you change those outside tires, you go into turn 1 and suddenly your truck's all over the place because you did just the different grips on those 2 sides just make it a completely unsettled truck.
Well, they're going to come to a quarter of the way through this race as they come to the start-finish line, and so we'll take a look at the top 10 as it stands. Tim Matthews is going to be behind 1 lap car of George Hendricks. He is 4 laps down, so that's why there's 1 truck in front of him. Then behind him, pole winner Stephanie Lesentine, and then Joshua Banks. He's in 3rd, as you said there, Kelly, and then Justin Michaels 4th with Robert Gillenwater in 5th. He's kind of been there the entire time. Mark McCrary, Chris Cabot, Jesse Williams, 25th to 8th. What a stop he had and what a run to the front he's had. James Nunn and then Dwight Beverly. That's going to be your top 10 right now, as it looks like we are going to get the 1 to go signal here from the pace car, and they will double file up as we get ready for a restart. And about 1/4 of the way through, it kind of if you're going to put this in the 4 quarters like American football, you've got your first quarter underway and time for quarter number 2.
And hey, it's going by real quick, and I don't mind that at all. However, it does have a bit of a downside. I can watch these guys race this track for hours on end. They put up as much as there wasn't too many position changes happening over that first quarter, those trucks were still side by side, feeling each other out and looking for every opportunity that was available to them. And now we're going to have to see how these guys are going to react a little bit differently up front. We don't have the exact same layout this time around, so there's going to be a few other trucks that are up there, including the 36 of Joshua Banks. He has made his way from 12th to 3rd. But we're going to have to see just how he handles this front group and how he works with the 54 of Tim Matthews.
Also have to look back to Cody Gibson and Jamie Walker, who started in 30th and 31st. They're 12th and 13th. So I'm not 100% sure. I think maybe Steve Herring is our biggest mover. He was in 18th. He started shotgun on the field tonight, as only 39 trucks took the field as 40 cars arrived. It looks like Keith Butt did not start the race tonight, but looks like everyone else, all of the other 39 cars are out there or were out there. Looks like Brian Cutts may have retired early tonight. So as these cars round off turn number 4, we'll get our very first restart of the race on lap 26. Coming to lap 27, as looks like Tim Matthews will get the green flag and we'll be on our way. Looks like Stephanie Lesentine gets a really good start on that outside line, and she actually beats him to the line. So that outside line still really, really good. And May actually worked pretty good on this restart. We don't typically see the high side work this well this early.
Yeah, the 87 worked really well with the Stephanie Lessentine last little run they had right at the start, so we'll have to see how they're going to work together this time. As look at the 31, he's dropping off hard right off the bat. Just wasn't able to get up into the draft as well as the other drivers were. Stephanie Lessentine still has a nose ahead going down the back straight, a little bit of an advantage over Tim Matthews, and it just goes to show that the outside line can be worked if you are a good driver and you can work well with another driver. And they're going to lose a little bit of speed here going through turns 3 and 4, but look at the momentum this time around when they come off the banking. It's going to be a good run from these guys on the outside, but they're a little bit looser than the guys on the bottom. The guys on the bottom are real tight together, good nose to tail, and some great drafting from Joshua Banks.
Joshua Banks, definitely a really cool deal to see him go from 12th to this front group, and you can definitely see that the trucks, I think, at least to my eyes, they are a little bit more out of control in comparison to they were at the very beginning of this race. Perhaps it's just the drivers themselves being a little bit more edgy, a little bit more aggressive, and not as conservative on those very first few laps. But definitely, it looks like Matthews is getting a heck of a push through these first few corners, and the same as Lessentine. But you can see him go from the top to the yellow and actually hit it. And I'm just curious on exactly if these tires are the reason for it, or whether you just really can't see the track, because he is absolutely right at his bumper. And I mean, like I said earlier, you make a simple mistake and it can really be deadly, as you saw Terrell earlier. So it'd be tough to see exactly really what happens, but you'll see him go up and then come right back down as he did earlier. So these first 4 trucks, like we saw earlier, just a little bit, just a couple different trucks, definitely what roughly the 4 trucks we're still looking at right now.
And that 36 has got to be careful. He's moving around the track quite a bit. If he moves like that when he makes contact with the 54's bumper, that could spin him around. There's also the problem of, maybe sideswiping or tapping the yellow line that she does there, and that'll cause a huge checkup on that bottom side. The 36 hits that yellow line, hits a bit of the flat part of the apron, and that is going to kill all momentum on that inside line, and that's going to leave Tim Matthews out to dry as both Stephanie Lessentine and Justin Michael clear him.
Lessentine will get Justin Michael to follow in tow with him, and I think we're going to start seeing some tandems here, because you can see this these 2 cars on the outside, the 4 and the 5 of Gillenwater and Gabot also start to group up as well. And you've got, looks like the 01 of Dwight Beverly and the 31 behind him and Mark McCrary also working together, and you can see how the momentum is absolutely shifting throughout these trucks. Look at the 4 on the outside. He's going to get a lot of momentum right here throughout the corners. And the guys right now, they came from nowhere. They were really far back. They were about 6th, 7th place just a couple laps ago, and here they are in 3rd, 4th, 5th place. So things are changing quite quickly.
Another advantage that outside line has is when they come down onto that front and back straightaway, they're coming down off the banking. And while on your screen it doesn't look that much, that is a couple stories of banking. That is a huge hill that they are running down and getting a great launch off of. So that's what gives them that huge advantage on that outside line going down the back straight. And now look at the group that is starting to fill together. We have got a lot of trucks now grouping up. The 31 now trying to get up close to the bumper of the 5 and the 4. We haven't talked too much about Robert Gillenwater, but now he is challenging for the lead. He's getting up to the door of Stephanie Lessentine. Over these next few laps, may have a run to maybe challenge her for the race lead.
Outside line picking up a little bit of momentum, but it's not consistent enough to get that 4 up there. The 31 of Mark McCurry, he's finally coming back up through the ranks, and as he was just a little bit ago, he's in 6th and then fell back, and now he's back into the 6th position. They say he was 7th across the line. He gets a big push from the 41, a little bit too much, and so they're going to lose a little bit of ground on the outside, but nothing too scary. It was a little scary for a little bit of the moment. But look at the 87, up towards the front. He's going to make the move on Stephanie Lessentine on the outside lane and leave her out the dry, just like earlier, like the very first lead change we had. And he's going to cut her off and take that lead.
I'm starting to think these two are definitely working together, because these passes like that have been absolutely flawlessly coordinated, and it seems like they're just trying to keep each other. It's like when you're running by yourself with another driver off to the back, but actually here comes my theory, getting holes poked into Stephanie, makes a move on the outside. She doesn't want to push anymore. than she has to. She'll go along the outside. She'll actually take a little bit of time before deciding to move down, as she's got a good push from that 54 on the outside.
She's holding up the momentum of the outside lane, but what she's now doing is, I think she's realizing that the top side, with 33 laps into this race, is where you want to be. You can only make the pass on the outside, and if you're the leader and you've got the most momentum, why not be on the outside? Only bad thing about that, you're also going the longer distance, and so I think Justin Michael, he'll have the advantage going into the corner, but she might still get it at the line. And I think the 36 of Joshua Banks, he has been a little bit out to wild just for a couple laps, and he's coming back, and he's actually really strong on the bottom. So she still has that ability to come down on the track right now, and she still is not. And I am pretty surprised that she hasn't yet. Maybe because she feels the outside will do it, but now she's kind of in both lanes, and is really treading dangerous waters right now.
Yeah, it could be an easy decision for the 54 and the 4 to cop him. Oh, we got to check him in the back, and the 5 is around. He's into a number of other drivers, and Chris Guilbeault, big trouble. Green flag for some reason still out. We are not gone to yellow just yet, and we will continue racing, but the 5 has taken a trip to the inside wall, and that is some heavy damage to that truck.
Caution has not come out, and so we will continue to stay green. The leaders are long gone from the field, and so this is going to make it a completely different race from what we just saw. Big wreck, and you'll see the replay, and wow, I cannot believe there was no caution called by the simulation, so they will continue to go the first 4 cars, and looks like Robert Gillenwater, he'll try and get these guys, but Lessentine, Michael, Matthews, and Banks, that top 4 will probably leave Gillenwater behind. I don't think he's going to be able to really do it. And then Mark McCrary and Nicholas Nugent, they're going to be working together as well. But yeah, a completely different story is going to be happening right now.
Yeah, that was definitely very interesting, the fact that we don't have a caution called just yet, and that has really cut this race from a 20 car pack to just 4 trucks sitting here, and they are completely even up. Neither group has the advantage, as we've seen here. They are completely even. Stephanie just losing back a little bit on the high side through the corner, but she'll immediately come right back even now, coming down that back straight. But they're not quite pushing as hard on the top side as they are on the bottom. That 36 Joshua Banks, he's right up to the bumper of the 87, but hopefully he doesn't have any issues like he did earlier and can keep hitting his marks.
I think if this top 4 wants to really put the hurt to the rest of the drivers who got caught in that or had to slow down for that, is they need to get single file and really start going away from these drivers. I don't think that's going to happen with this top 4, as Banks makes a little bit of a move, and he's still pretty loose. He could almost ruin this really big advantage for these top 4 drivers here if he continues to get loose as he is. Continues to keep his strength for the time being, but I think Lessentine may be taking that idea of maybe just slotting in, but maybe not yet, as Matthews and her still on the outside line, and we can continue to look back as Gillenwater is all by himself, and then 5 seconds back you've got Nicholas Nugent and company behind him. And if you're any of these drivers that are not that top 4, you are quickly getting on the radio. You're quickly trying to find friends and partners to get yourself to the front. And I think that Aaron Bennett will get up to this next group, and they'll start working together because they have to. They're so far back. They're 8 seconds back, and with that top 4, they're not working together. If they can work together, they may actually be able to do something right now on lap 38, and I think that's going to be the story, is what can these guys do to catch that pack if they can.
Yeah, but they're losing even more ground. Nicholas Nugent is now 7.2 seconds back from the leaders. And look at Stephanie Lessentine and the 54, a huge run on the outside for those two, and now they will possibly get into a single file. Actually, it looks like the 87 and the 36 are dropping back even more. I don't know what happened there, but Stephanie and Tim had a huge run on that outside line.
Lessentine, she'll get the lead once again, and yeah, like you said, I think they will go single file, knowing that they are going to they will have company at this rate. I think there's no doubt about it. 4 trucks versus the combination of 8 trucks. If they can work together, they aren't yet, but there's a big group of 4. It looks like it's going to be Aaron Bennett, Rich, Jetty, Cody Gibson, and Jamie Walker, and then they'll bring everyone behind them along. We'll see if they actually get to partner together. But 4 versus 8 is a completely different story. But it is 8 seconds or 7 seconds with Aaron Bennett, and I'm sure he'll try and pick up Gillen Water, and Gillen Water's trying to pick up Scott Simley right now. Simley's a lap down actually, but I'm sure they'll still work together to help each other out. So they stay with the first car lap down.
We have these guys up the front are having a lot of trouble with these lap traffic. A lot of the lap traffic are not moving out of the way of this lead group that are catching them, not just at a slow pace. These guys are catching them by over 10 miles an hour every time. And these guys on the bottom side, or these guys in the lap traffic, are staying on that bottom side until the very last moment. And it's pushed a couple of these guys up the front pack to go almost dip below the yellow line a few times. So they if we had a few of the 4 drivers get on the horn and start yelling at the lap traffic to just get out of the way, and hopefully they do so, because they have been causing a little bit of problems. And look at the 12, he's even squeezing down these guys. So I don't know what's up with the lap traffic, but they are being aggressive to this lead pack.
For those lap drivers, it's not the fact that they're in the way, it's the fact that they're actually moving up and down the track. It's kind of an unknown variable about what to do, which is why Stephanie was so upset, and the rest of them were so upset. Is if they stayed on the bottom or if they stayed on the top, they would know how to adjust. But if you're in the middle and kind of going up and down the track, it's really hard to judge what's going to happen. And you hear that in road course racing. You stay to one side and let the leader figure out what to do. It's the same thing here. Is if you stay where you are, it's easy for the leaders to find out what to do. And I would say that it is one of those super speedway deals where you just kind of have to figure out what's going on and kind of just appropriately adjust. But looking at the second pack right here, they actually haven't lost any ground on those leaders. They are stabilizing right now, and I think they will start. They just swallowed the 4 of Robert Gillenwater in that little group, but they may actually get to add him soon. But they are not losing any. If anything, they may actually be just getting a little bit per lap, but nothing that's too substantial at the moment. But if pit stops are happening, green flag pit stops happen, I think this group right here is probably in really good position to gain a lot of speed. It's a really good development happening with both groups right now.
Yeah, I believe we're still a few laps away from this next round of green flag stops, but this lead group has also picked up a couple of lap traffic trucks here that are helping push them along. The 12 of Brian Hitz and the 69 of Randy Tester are kind of just hanging off the back of their draft a little bit. It looks like Randy's trying to pass the 12 for some reason. He's got no one to help him. There's no way he's going to get around that 12 truck, and that's actually going to hurt them a little bit as they're starting to lose that draft.
And I just looked that last time. They do have that lap traffic maybe helping, but they just lost 1 complete second to that second group. Aaron Bennett is in the 5th position right now, 6 seconds back from Stephanie Lessentine that last time around the stripe. And these guys are actually going to start fighting for that top spot. They are no longer in a line right now, and I can only foresee if they are like this when those guys come. I don't see them backing down at all. I don't see them backing down and going and just stopping. They're going to probably take it 3 wide, Kelly, if it comes they get up there, and they almost took another second off that time. So they're staying too wide, and I think it's actually a really good strategic point. They know if they stay single file, they're just going to get the doors blown off them. I'd say in only a few more laps, we're going to see them at the doorstep and probably making things happen. And I don't know what things are going to happen, but things are going to happen here, Kelly.
Yeah, they're definitely going to attempt a 3 wide. However, by the time they catch up to them, they're going to have to start thinking about these next round of green flag stop, because we've already put just under 20 laps down since the green flag waved the last time. So it's definitely going to be an interesting situation, because if you put yourself on that high side going 3 wide and suddenly you need to pit, well, you've got nowhere to go. You have to find some way to dive down. And some of these guys that have been leading these packs, like Stephanie, have put a little bit more brain on the engine, causing them to take a little bit more gas. So if these guys don't figure out when they want to come down pit road, they may be stuck out there. And there's definitely a possibility that they could run out of fuel if they don't play this right.
They continue to lead. Stephanie continues to log laps led, and I think at this point she may actually have the most laps led with looks like maybe 20 next time. And or this time I should say. And so with everyone behind them, you know, trying to catch them, they've actually kind of disorganized us a little bit. The four of Robert Gillenwater wanted to pass these guys, and remember, this is just inside and outside the top 5, and they're still catching each other, and actually it's getting a little bit dodgy. It's getting a little bit crazy, and I think that there's a couple of different plans going on, and I think they're trying to work together just in different ways. And so right now you actually have a small pack forming, which is probably the best thing that they want to see. And the 4 goes down to the bottom. Look at the 3 right there. Aaron Bennett tries to block, and the 31, he's going to get loose, and he's not going to be able to save it. He's going to the inside wall.
Yeah, he's not in the wall just yet. He's somehow able to hold on to that thing in the grass. He's going to slide up onto the racing surface. Luckily, there are no trucks coming, so the 31 avoids disaster, avoids major damage. And while he may not be entirely happy, he can at least take solace in the fact that he still has a clean truck after that little trip through the grass. But that may hurt these guys, the little secondary pack's chances of catching up to the lead group, as they didn't gain any ground at all to that lead group that time by.
Yeah, they definitely did lost momentum. They lost momentum, and they lost time in general. I think they lost a total of half a second, and you know, I think that just had to do definitely with Gillenwater trying to make the pass, and then the 3 trying to block. I couldn't really tell which one was in the right or the wrong. I really didn't see either driver doing anything glaringly wrong. I just think both drivers are trying to do something and try and defend their position or try and get the position, but in the end they're not in the front, and they need to get there if they want to make anything happen. They lost another 3/10 that time, and I think if they knew how much they were catching them, they would work together. I don't know if they realized that they were catching them at such a rapid pace, and now they've kind of fallen off with that little spin that happened with McCrary, who still is out there. He's still in the 17th position, and he may fall back to 18th of John Wilco, even though they actually look like they're going to organize here. But what a momentum buster, I guess, for these guys.
Yeah, it's definitely a huge shot to their momentum to have that little incident happen. And I am agreeing with you. I don't think they knew at all that they were catching these guys up front, because nobody in that group, and actually nobody in the server, has anyone up in the tower talking to them. They have no help at all. So what they have to do is look through their own black boxes, and most of the time they will be just set to the relative, and they aren't going to be looking at how close or how far they are to that lead group. As that time by, they didn't gain or lose any ground. They stayed completely even at 5.7 seconds back, and it really seems like they are not going to catch them at all in time for these next round of green flag stops.
And to me, it's really surprising that they aren't catching, just because of the fact that they're still not 4 in a row. They're still on the outside and trying to pass each other here for this lead. And I think, I think it's a really good idea for them to try and keep that lead. Lessentine, I think, is going to be in the best position, even though if they do get them, they just got 4/10 that lap, and looks like they're going to pass Simley once again, and that's going to knock him 2 laps down, which at that point. It's going to be difficult. It's going to be difficult for them to do anything. But pit stops may be coming around. Looks like we do have a couple drivers, those guys are already on the pit road. I apologize, but looks like we're going to get Michael Waite coming down pit road, and looks like we're going to get Formosa as well, and Michael Priester, they're coming down pit road.
And a leader will come down pit road. The entire pack of 4 will head down below the yellow line and slow those trucks up, as a number of the second group also called out their intentions over the radio to pit this time. So Stephanie has to make sure she nails her pit stop this time by even a fraction of a second lost in the pits equals hundreds of feet on the racetrack at full speed here. Problems again for the 87, sliding through his pit box. Lots of trouble for him and Stephanie, and it looks like Tim Matthews as well getting clean stops once more. Those two will get back out onto the racetrack as soon as possible, and they may still hold on to the race lead after this.
Lessentine and looks like Matthews will come out first and second out of all the drivers in pit road. And only that thing is, and looks like the 31, he's completely sideways in the pits right there. And only thing about those guys up towards the front is if they get too big of a lead, they might actually have a problem on their hands with everyone catching them. So I guess the only thing is they need to start working together as fast as possible, because if a group forms before any other, they'll get the momentum. But yeah, 31 of Mark McCrary has just had a day go just completely wrong from what he thought. So looks like the 88 and the 4 also had issues coming to pit road as well.
Yeah, it looks like the 88 and the 4 hit the pit wall possibly as they came in for their stop. So a lot of these guys having some issues. These tires are worn up quite a bit from the race. Racing it. You just don't think about it. You're going, under 50 miles an hour on the pit road after going like 190 around the track. You don't think that it's going to be that difficult, but really you're cranking the wheel quite a bit, and you just don't have that grip that you may think that you have. So it definitely caused some problems for the 31 and the 4 and the 88. But look at the 25 and the 54. Stephanie Lesentine and Tim Matthews. They've linked up once again, and they are pushing hard. There is no one anywhere close to them right now.
Bobby Terrell did lead that last lap, and looks like Stephanie Lesentine she'll lead this lap this time by. And you got to expect that these drivers are going to, like you said, group up, but really there's not a whole lot else that they can do at this point, as they're crossing halfway right now, 53 laps in, and I think all the pit stops are just about done. So I think it's a good time that we go through our midway race break. Presented by iRacing as the caution comes out. It looks like it might be out of 4. I see some smoke there. And one car in the middle of the track, and there's still... Oh, Mark McCrary in the 4 as well. The
big problems out there is just as we thought we were going to settle in for a long run. A few of these guys get into a big wreck now on that back straight. There are trucks all over the track still trying to clean up here, but there are some big problems. We're finally going to get the caution that we have been looking for, and a lot of other drivers have been looking for. Looks like there was a truck that had slowed up in the middle of the track in the 31, and the 4 kind of just got into each other. Look at the replay here. It looks like the 18 possibly got into the 48 even. So this was a problem that was forming before a lot of these trucks had even caught up to each other.
And what a terrible accident that happened at turn 2, and Scott Formosa and Michael Waite, I mean, they had nowhere to go. They were just running their normal line, and they just got caught up in something that you don't really see typically happen. 2 cars get loose on the exit of pit road, which I don't know how exactly that happened. Looks like Randy Tesser kind of started all that, spun out off of turn 2 on the access to coming back on the track, and when he started coming up, I think the 18 reacted, and my gosh, I mean, just kind of a matter of domino effect. One mistake leads to another, and it starts from there. Yeah,
it's just another thing. Things happen fast when you're going 190 miles an hour, and when you suddenly have a truck sliding up in front of you, you don't have much time to react, and that's definitely caused a lot of problems from a number of drivers. Thankfully, our leaders were able to get out of it. Stephanie Lesentine and Tim Matthews got those trucks slowed up as well as they could, and were able to avoid the damage. But now it's definitely not a caution that those 2 up front wanted to see, because now we are going to get everyone grouped back together again.
We'll wait to see if these drivers come down pit road this time by, maybe to get a splash of gas, maybe to get some fuel, or that is the same thing actually, but some tires, I should say. See what they can salvage. Looks like Michael Waite, despite having all that damage, he might be trying to get the lucky dog this time, but sitting, it looks like in the 3rd position right now, and it looks like he's looking for it, waiting for it, but I don't think he'll get it because he was involved in the caution. So at this point, we'll take that midway race break, brought to you by iRacing, the leading online racing simulation. Developed from the beginning as a centralized racing and competition service, iRacing organizes, hosts, and officiates races on virtual tracks all around the world. In the fast world of esports, iRacing is a one-stop shop for online racing with officially sanctioned racing from NASCAR, IndyCar, IMSA, World of Outlaws, and many, many more. So up front, Stephanie Lesentine, pole winner, is also up front, has led the most laps. She's absolutely put on a show for everybody, including us, tonight. And Tim Matthews, Justin Michael, 2nd and 3rd, they also have been running very good tonight and jockeying for the lead this entire race. And you've got Joshua Banks, who's trying to play a little bit of a little bit of strategy here. Then you got Rich Jetty in the 5th position. He's up, I think, the most positions out of anyone in the 5th position. And then you got Jeff Ryan 6th, Nicholas Nugent in 7th, James Nunn, he'll be 8th, Bobby Terrell in 9th, and you got John Wilco. I think he actually has the most mods from 37th to 10th, and then you've got Steve Herron behind him, and I think those guys having their money.
Yeah, Stephen Herring started in 39th, now running in 11th. Scott Formosa, another guy coming from 23rd up to 12th. 13th, Mark McCrary. 14th is currently Aaron Bennett. 15th, John Jenkins. Cody Gibson currently running in 16th. Ralph Vandervorst in the 17th spot. 18th is Jamie Walker, another guy trying to make his way up to the front. Michael Priester sitting in 19th, and rounding out our top 20, the last truck on the lead lap at the moment is Michael Warren.
Michael Waite just in that wreck with Robert Gillenwater. They sit 21st and 22nd. They're coming down pit road right now, actually. Brian Hitz, he's in the 23rd position. Then you got Randy Tesser 24th. Scott Simley 25th. He's the reigning series champion, as we noted earlier. Matt Morris is in 26th. Ricky Howell Jr. 27th. Randy Yoakum 28th. George Hendricks 29th. And then Channing Slatcha, he is in 30th.
A lot of these other remaining drivers have pulled off the track for the night. 31st is Chris Guibault, Dwight Beverly 32nd, 33rd Jesse Williams, Shane Hawther 34th, 35th Michael Waters, 36th Corey Harridges, Michael Atkins Jr. in 37th, Lewis Robinette in 38th, and Brian Cutts rounds out the field in 39th.
And that's been a look at your iRacing Midway race break. For more information on the wide variety of sim racing possibilities online, visit iRacing.com to sign up today. For a limited time, you can now visit iRacing.com/World of Outlaws and take advantage of the exclusive promo codes that are going on right now. And you can get yourself a 1-year membership for half off, or you can give it a try for 3 months for less than $5. Again, that's iRacing.com/World of Outlaws. So as we go past halfway, we'll take a short break as Stephanie Lesentine in that Vegas Strong Toyota leads the most laps, and she'll continue to lead more under caution, and we'll bring you back for the restart. Welcome back to the BNC Lawn and Landscaping Truck Series on LSRTV as we're about to get the restart. Third restart of the night. Lesson Team gets the green to go, and Justin Michael will follow her in suit. Great restart on the bottom. And looks like what Matthews he'll sign in tow, and that's going to be a 3-car breakaway on the bottom, and then there's a big gap to drivers behind as we go on lap 58.
I think that's something we have said every single start and restart tonight. Stephanie Lessentine jumps off ahead with Justin Michael in tow, and they have been working together fantastically all throughout the night. Those two have been up front all night, and I think those two are going to continue to be up front all night if they keep working together like this. And they've even got a gap over the rest of the drivers. And for the first time tonight, we have a huge single file throughout the first number of trucks. It looks like everyone all the way back until maybe I think even further back than 11. It looks like 12th and 13th is where they start getting into too wide, as everyone else up front is just elected to stay on that bottom side.
I would say this might be the calm before the storm here, Kelly, because before this is all done, I know that they're going to get racy once again. You know, probably with about 20, 15 laps to go, and we're about the 40 laps to go mark. You know, we got just about, you know, a lap and a half before we get there, and, you know, I'd say these guys are just gonna just hold in their hand. You know, they've got their trump card ready to go and when they need it, and I think they're gonna get a second line here, possibly. Looks like they're behind the 5th place position. Tommy Ryan might try it. The 3 might try it as well. Looks like Aaron Bennett's the first car to try that second line, and he does have a couple of trucks with him, but he's going to have to bring it back down, I think. I don't think he's got enough momentum, but these guys, I think they're just going to be trying to see what kind of works out. Wait for the momentum to kind of flourish, because if you try and go without any momentum, I think drivers are just going to try and take advantage of you, and you want to kind of be there at the end. You kind of want to be in the top 10 with about 20 laps to go, because then you can make those moves. If you're outside that top 20, well, I guess if you're outside the top 20, you're a lap down, or top 10, but you got to make that move, and I think the only way you can really be in charge of your own destiny is if you're really in that top 10 group.
And I think the 93 is going to be our first guy to try to make it go too wide up near the front. He's taking a few looks on the outside, trying to see if he can get anyone to go with him, and it looks like possibly the 54 might go with him, or even the 36. They're just trying to see who's going to be the first one to make a move, and I don't think they really quite trust each other to not just leave them out to dry. And I'd expect the 93, the second he's got someone to stick with him, he's going to try to make that move on the outside. And at the moment, though, there's no one that's really trying to challenge Stephanie and Justin up front.
No one's challenging him up front, but we do have 3-car breakaway on the outside. It's only losing momentum, in the 91 of John Jenkins goes really, really close to the 14 of Bobby Terrell, almost getting him spun out. And this is going to start momentum on the outside. You can see it right now. They've got a lot of momentum. Here comes another truck to the outside. This is where we're going to start seeing these guys not being so calm. It's going to start coming here, and maybe another driver starts coming to the outside, seeing that they've got the momentum. Here comes another one, and so, you know, we believe that's going to be Joshua Banks. He's going to try and go to that top side, and so we're going to have a lot of drivers, and looks like it's going to be really close between Nugent right there, and it's a little dicey right here, Kelly, as they try to form that second line.
And here comes 93 Rich Jetty. He's going to try to make that move to the high side as well, but just doesn't quite have anyone up to the bumper just yet. He's going to just look between the two lines. And here comes the 54. He makes the move. So Tim Matthews is going to be left on the dry. The 93 ducks back underneath. And I guess the 93 has just been trying to bait on this entire time, but it's not going to be quite all for naught, because Tim Matthews now is going to get the bit of help now from Joshua Banks and the rest of these guys on the outside that have been working together. But the 93 of Rich Jetty, he is not making any friends there right now with that move.
That is the equivalent to breaking your legs by juking you out. He went up with him. He's like, yeah, I got a partner, and all of a sudden he ducks back down. And he's like, oh, you know, it's one of those I got you moments, because he thought he had the momentum, but I don't think he's going to work with him now.
Lap truck in the wall.
Yeah, lap truck in the wall right there on the outside, but yeah, I'm sure he's just thinking to himself, oh, I don't think he's going to help me now, but he may have to. If he jumps right in front of the 54, I mean, Matthews wants to get up to the front, so if he moves up in front of him, we'll have to do that, but he's to the outside right now. So 2 trucks on the outside, a little bit of contact maybe between Jeff Ryan and Joshua Banks, so those 2 trucks getting really close together.
Yeah, and look at Banks now getting a big push to that 54. It's going to be hard for them to fight back, because look at the 93, the 87, and the 25. Nose to tail can barely even slip a piece of paper between them coming off of turn 4, but they space out just a little bit on that bottom side going through the straightaway, and that's going to give a bit of advantage to that high side. These guys are really starting to come back now, using a bit of the side draft to their advantage throughout the corners to see how good of a run they can get this time coming down that back straight.
2 car versus the 3 car. I'd say Jeff Ryan really isn't making an impact on that bottom, and with the 3 cars on the bottom, it's just so much faster than that top side. And Lessentin's absolutely just basically being the navigator for this entire field. She's just being on fire tonight. She got the pole, and by a very small margin, might I add, only a little less than 10 100ths of a second. But it looks like she may have just lost the lead that time. No, she gained it, or she got it. But looks like Matthews is now in the lead at the moment. I don't think he's going to have the momentum to get her out of the corner. He'll need another couple drivers, that being Tim Matthews. But Joshua Banks, like we talked about, he kind of came out of nowhere, really. Didn't say anything about him beforehand, and really he's making quite an impact on this outside lane. We get another addition to the outside lane. It's going to be Jetty in the 93, and this outside line might start going right here.
Yeah, there's now a lot of trucks all tightly packed together on the outside line. Look, it's Stephanie and Justin Michael on the inside, but behind them, there's a big gap back to the 14 and bottom material, so they do not have much help there. And it looks like Tim Matthews will lead the lap this time at the stripe, but still a little bit of fighting back now from Stephanie and Justin as they still continue to draft each other.
Not clear yet is Tim Matthews, but it is starting to bunch up on the outside, and that 93 has also got the 10 behind him. He's got the 91 pretty close, and they've got a lot of numbers on the outside. And this is, I think, one of the first times we've had the outside be more organized than the inside. And Matthew, he's got clear room to do it. And he's going to clear Stephanie Lessentin for the lead. So officially, he's definitely there. He's definitely got that lead right now.
Yeah, it was a good move by him, and now that gives an opportunity for Joshua Banks to make a move to the lead. He's getting a hard push from Rich Jetty, and he's going to have to drive as well as he possibly can to be able to combat these guys on the bottom side that have been just so dominant throughout the night. But he's got some good help on the outside. He's getting pushed quite well from that 93, and he may have an opportunity coming down on this back straight, but they're not quite as bunched up together. There's a lot more trucks. They're more tightly packed on that inside than there are tightly packed on the outside.
It comes and goes and swings back and forth between the top and the bottom. Just, I think, which each of these drivers, I think, is, just trying to get to that point where they're not in the lead, unless you're Lessentin or Matthews. I think they just want to be in the lead no matter what. I enjoy watching them just going back and forth, and it looks like Banks is actually just going to get left out the drive. They're going to single file right now, and unless Banks gets any help, he's definitely going to start following back pretty far. And what a sad thing to see for the 36. He's going to exit the 90 or the 93 getting right in front of him, and that's going to be Jetty right there, and the 14's going to slide under him. But I don't know if that's going to help just 2 trucks. Does slow down the guys below him. That's going to be 2 by 2 for the 5th and 4th position right there, but I think the 93 is going to get a pretty good push from Banks right there.
Justin Michael dipped below the yellow line there for a moment. I think he may have a little bit of heating problems in that truck, and I think he was just trying to get some air into it. He's not quite pushing as hard as he possibly can, and I think he's just trying to cool that thing off at the moment for maybe a counterattack later on, or maybe trying to catch up to one of these outside packs when they start getting a bit of momentum. But he's going to bring it up to the high side. Look, he's not trying to go for a pass here. He's trying to get air into the front end of that truck. He's definitely got a lot of problems with the heat in that truck. And look at the lap traffic. They are not near the wall. They're way too close to the bottom. There's a big problem.
Is gonna be an
There's a 12 in the way, and there's the 93 sideways. There's definitely a big trouble. A lot of trucks sideways. No caution just yet, but there's trucks all over the track, and
there's
now we get the yellow.
And that just is a product of lap cars just kind of being in the wrong place at the wrong time. You had cars on the bottom, cars on the top, and a little bit of, I just would say, an organization by the lap crew to kind of know that the leaders are coming so fast. And I'll say that, as the lap traffic, it's kind of your responsibility to know where those leaders are, but they do come really fast. So you had, I think, 2 cars coming at the top, and then 2 cars at the bottom, or 1 car at the bottom, and that's just 1 car too many.
I mean, he wasn't even at the bottom. That 12 truck was in the middle of the track, and there was that's not the first time he's been there throughout the night. When earlier on, when we had that 4 truck group at the front, he got yelled at by Stephanie because he was sitting in the middle of the track when the leaders came up and tried to pass him. So the 12 truck is just not paying attention to the guys coming up behind him in the rearview mirror, and that has caused a lot of problems because that was a big wreck that time around.
A lot of trucks ended up in this one, and I'd have to say that there's some trucks that are a little bit luckier than others, like the 3 of Aaron Bennett, and there's some trucks that are not so lucky, like the 31 again getting damaged. Mark McCrae's had a very eventful night, and you've got to feel for him. He's had some self-inflicted, but just definitely some bad luck happened to him, and sometimes that's just the way super speedway racing goes sometimes. But with lap traffic like that, I think race control definitely take a look at what happened there, and might have to address the issue on what went down there, maybe post-race. Just lap traffic just kind of being in the way right there. I think there's no other way to put it. And you saw the rear camera view of the 12, just kind of I think that just paints the picture right there.
Yeah, he just wasn't paying attention to the guys behind him. And here comes a few trucks now for a pit stop, and I don't think this is going to be the last stop unless they get a few cautions, because there's still 31 laps left in this race, now coming to 30 laps left, and I don't think we've seen a truck been able to go 30 laps on a single tank of fuel just yet, so these guys will definitely be pushing it. It looks like Stephanie slid through her box a little bit long that time around, so looks like 4 tires this time for these guys, or maybe just left sides
only. Yeah,
they're going to replace those lefts after so long. I think a lot of these guys have been running on those lefts for the entire 71 laps so far.
Yeah, that's definitely. I think that's what's been going on a little bit as well. Is the handling on these trucks is a little bit more difficult, and getting those left sides. I think this might be the final stop if they can, flip the switch a little bit on. Excuse me, flip the switch a little bit on the truck. Turn the car off for just a little bit. Coast, save some fuel, see what you can do. I think they'll be able to make it here to the end if they can save a little bit of fuel. That except for maybe the leader. I don't think the leader will really be able to save as much fuel as some of the guys behind them. So definitely have to monitor that. But if they're coasting to the pace car, which is right there in turn number 3, I think they'll be able to make it. But they've really got to manage it, I think, under this caution period. But that's if it goes to the rest of the way green, Kelly. I mean, it's super speedway racing. We've been around here before a couple times.
Yeah, but I just don't think they'll be able to stretch it if they go green. That's still a long ways to go. I mean, they can do the best they can right now, clutching it, turning off the engine, but I mean, they've only got to see if they had a full tank, like a full 100% tank, I think they'll probably be able to easily stretch it. But they've only got 60% of what these trucks can actually hold, so that really restricts how far they can actually go. So it's going to be a struggle for these guys, and I think they're going to have to hope for probably like 2 cautions, or for at least another time that they can just duck down pit road.
While we get closer to the 3/4 mark, we're on lap 72. We'll take a moment to give a little shout out to our friends at Joel Real Timing. Coverage of the United Sim Racing BNC Lawn and Landscaping Truck Series is brought to you by Joel Real Timing, the official timing software of LSRTV. Whether you spend time behind the sim or time on the sim behind the wheel, on the pit box, from the spotter stand, Joel Real Timing is the go-to software for iRacing timing and scoring analytics. Get your basic download or get the pro version today at joel-real-timing.com. And so you see the ticker, it's basically all active, doesn't have to wait for the start finish line. So definitely a real help for the sim for Cisco. So it gives the most accurate information and represents it just the best that it can. So as we are on lap 72, coming to lap 73, Tim Matthews, he started second on the field, and really right now Matthews is kind of in the spot you always want to be, right in that lead. And I want to see if Listen Team can get that lead back, Kelly.
I think she's definitely got a chance to get that lead back. She's been up near the front all night. We haven't really seen her do too much work on the outside line, but she has made a couple moves out there. However, she isn't going to have her usual helper of Justin Michael in behind her. Justin Michael's going to be sitting on the bottom side helping Tim Matthews, so she's going to have to hope that Joshua Banks can give her a good run coming off the corner, and I'm sure the second that she gets clear of that inside line, she's going to dive down to that inside right to the yellow line.
Yeah, right you are. And I think right now it's a matter of course, just timing, and I think we're just really here for really seeing what's going on and seeing what the show has to show for us, and we will get the one to go right now. Tim Matthews, Stephanie Lessentine, that's your front row. We'll just go through your top 10 as it stands. Justin Michaels, Joshua Banks. That top 4's kind of been there the whole time. I think we might actually get an extra yellow flag here. Looks like the pace car's lights have returned, and you're going to see Joshua Banks. Look at him all the way down the apron. I think he's saving fuel. No, most definitely. He's doing everything he can just to kind of save a little bit more fuel. But so he's in the 4th position. Or that's not Joshua Banks. That's Justin Michael on the bottom. And so then you've got John Wilco in the 5th position, 37th to 5th. Then you've got Ralph Vandervoorst 35th to 6th, and Scott Formosa and Nicholas Nugent, who come from about the 20th positions. And then you've got Bobby Terrell and Michael Warren in 9th and 10th. So we've seen a lot of guys from back in the pack, Kelly, that have come back to the front. And I think it's kind of a product of what we see in these super speedway races.
Yeah, you can make some moves if you get lucky to move you all the way from the back to the front, but it does take a lot of time. It takes a lot of good strategy calls and a lot of things to work out your way. So these guys have made the right calls, got a little bit of luck, and they've moved themselves up over almost 30 positions, some of them even over 30 positions, to run at the top 5 now. And that's some great racing for those guys.
Yeah, and as they're still doubled up, I think the more caution flags you put with these drivers, I think a couple of mentalities can brew out of it. No, goodness, we're getting Tim Matthews coming down pit road. Wow, that's also another thing that you can think of. I was only thinking 2, but they're the 3rd one. So Matthews is coming down pit road, and maybe that has to do with your theory, Kelly, is that maybe they can't make it all the way, and Matthews says, you know what, I can make it with 25 to go. I'm going to pit now, and then if everyone pits, I'm going to benefit and be first again. I don't follow this strategy just because I know how the cautions typically roll with 25 laps to go, but he came down pit road, he got his fuel, and he's going to be with a couple other people that have done the same with 1 lap to go. So Lessentine, she will be the leader once again, and that changes quite a bit.
I believe it's actually going to move Justin Michael to start the lead, because the system had already started forming them up 2 by 2, so that slides everyone on the inside up 1 position. So Justin Michael will lead the pack with Stephanie Lessentine on the outside, and for that 54, that is a risky call from Tim Matthews, but one that could pay off. He's still sitting back there in about midfield, so he's got a lot of ways to go, but if everything goes his way, and if they possibly go green this entire run, these guys up front might not have the fuel, and he might be able to pull this off. So it's a risky call, but possibly a good one. We'll have to see how this is going to work out in the end for him.
I think it's a win-win situation, because if you get a caution, I think some of these drivers might have to come back down again. So he's not in a bad position. He knows how to be at the front. I think it's just a matter of getting back to the front. And he wasn't the only one who did that either. I think a few other drivers came down as well. So I wouldn't say a terrible strategy to go by. So looks like Justin Michael and Lessentine will be in the front row. I don't know which one's going to have control, but we'll just find out as the green flag comes out. And Michael, he does have the lead, and he'll get a great start. Lessentine will be right there, I think, and it's the opposite day here for these two. It'll be Lessentine behind Michael, but she's not sliding down immediately. I think she's trying to size up Michael right here, and with the room she has, she may be able to make a pass here.
Yeah, Michael got too good of a jump. That's something you want to do at 1.5 milers. That is not something you want to do at a super speedway. If you jump way too far off the head, you won't get the momentum. As we just an example right here, Stephanie Lessentine is going to make him pay for it. Going to head off to the lead, and John Wilco from 37th now fighting for the lead. Oh, he gives a bit of a bump to the 60 or the 87 of Justin Michael. It almost looked like he was going to try to shoot the gap between Lessentine and Michael, and that kind of kills the momentum for Lessentine. So that's going to be a bit of a problem, and that's going to kill any chance that she had of taking the lead on that first lap.
When you go from 37th to 3rd and you have a shot, even if it's a very small shot at getting that lead, I think sometimes you go for it and you realize in the middle of it, oh, this may not be such a good idea. And I think at that moment, Wilco was thinking that was a very gutsy move, and it almost paid off. I think that he almost let him have it, but right now, Michael's got himself a great run. He's got a huge push from Ralph Vandervoorst. Haven't really spoke about him all night. Wilco's trying to go 3 wide, and that's just destroying the momentum for the top side. And that's going to give Michael a good head of steam. And the 66 of Ralph Vandervoorst, he's just absolutely just coming out of nowhere and giving a great push for 3rd place.
And I don't think Lessentine's very happy with how Wilco is driving. Look at him, he's going all the way almost below the double yellow there. It just leaves Lessentine all on her own on the top side. he was not pushing Lessentine very well at all, and that really killed any chance that she had to take this race lead, and that's going to cause some problems for her as she's going to use the side draft as well as she can. Hopefully she can kill enough time for the 36 of Joshua Banks to catch up to her and help give her a push, and she's actually working that side draft extremely well. She's keeping up on her own and actually getting a bit of a run down the backstretch, and now that 36 is starting to get into that draft, and she may still have a chance of taking this race.
That bottom group did push really good that time. Those 3 trucks on the bottom, absolutely great pushes from all 3 of them. Only bad thing about that is, like you said, when you get too big of one, that momentum will come back to pushing back down on the bottom. And you're seeing it right now. Lessentine's got in herself a great run with a push from Joshua Banks. And that's going to give her about a heads-up run. She might hit the lead for just a moment right now. Of course, she'll lose it once she gets into the corner, just the nature of the beast right there. And you can see how much lower she's running than Banks. Banks, I don't think he's afraid to run right behind her, but knowing that he's got to keep his engine cool. And he can also get a little bit more momentum throughout the corner. Doesn't have to lift at all. And she still has the advantage right here. And 2 trucks versus 3. I think the top side's definitely the faster one to be by quite a good margin right now. But it's not as consistent as you're seeing right now. It's just not as consistent. Doesn't have the push all the time like the bottom does, and that's the problem right now.
Yeah, but Wilco's not really helping the bottom quite a bit. He's swerving left and right. It looks like he's trying to just find a gap to run through, and it doesn't look like he's wanting to help push. He just wants to try to find that run. And look at the speaking of run, look at the 36. Going to get right up to the bumper of Lessentine and give her a good push going into turn 1, and that might give them the advantage that they needed coming off of the corner. If they can get a run here, they will easily clear that bottom side. And look at the now coming off the corner. Lessentine, a little bit of speed difference. She will have the lead, but not enough to clear. The 66 now catches up to Justin Michael, gives him a good shot to help push him side by side with Stephanie once again.
And Forrester right there, he was on the bottom and he actually hit the yellow or just a little bit, got him out, just got a little loose going into the corner, which you don't really ever want to hear. And looks like Lessentine will be able to get the lead this time by, just barely cuts of it. She gets it by, looks like 8/1000th of a second. That's kind of what it's been the last couple laps. It's been under. Whoa, wow! Look at something's wrong with 87. Looks like either that or the outside had a huge run. Either way, looks like Lessentine's going to get it, and Banks is going to clear him. So both of them are going to clear. It's going to be a single file race now.
I think the 87 clipped the yellow line, and that's going to cause some huge problems for him. Completely kills the momentum on that bottom side. And look at the 36, Justin Banks, still right up on that bumper of Stephanie Lessentine. And now it's definitely a single file run, and we don't have anyone in that outside line until 8th place, actually no, 10th place, Jeff Ryan. He was trying to look on the outside, but he had no one to go with him because everyone else behind him is 6 seconds back. So definitely a great spot for Stephanie to be in right now. The people behind her just have to try to regroup, see if they can get a couple guys together and try to go on the outside to challenge these 2 that are running up front.
Right now, these leaders are going by Jamie Walker, who will go 1 lap down. Is definitely not something he wanted to see this early in the season. Of course, just race number 1 for him, is he's the all-time pole leader here in this series and in the league for USR. And something I'm seeing it right now, actually right in front of him, and he's actually going to not lose as much ground as I thought he was. He's actually going to have the 10 of Tommy Ryan kind of being tow, but those drivers right in front of him got really bunched up and actually fender bendered each other a little bit. But while that's happening up towards the front, looks like Stephanie Lessentine gets moved out of the way by Joshua Banks for the lead right here. And so that's going to give Joshua Banks the first time, I think this will be the first time he leads all night. Lessentine's going to try and fill a hole, and she will not be able to get it. So he's going to be stuck on the outside. This might be the farthest she's been back all night here in 5th place. Oh no! She gets taken out.
Big problems. The 62 collides with the 25. And I just don't know who moved up. One moved up, one moved down, and some big problems for them, and a few other trucks collected along with them. And that may just ruin Stephanie's chances for the win tonight. She was running so strong all night, but now there's some heavy damage to that truck. And at Daytona, you need to have a completely clean truck to have any sort of chance of winning these races.
I have a good feeling that the Wilco moved up just a tiny bit, but Lessentine moved down a little bit, but Wilco moved up quite a bit. I think he's trying to follow the 66 right there off the corner. I mean, I think yeah, it's just kind of met in the middle mostly, but I think I'd give it a 60-40 on Wilco on who's to be at fault on that one. It's a shame to see how dominant that car was. That number 25 truck, she was so strong all night, and that was the farthest back she's been, and now she'll obviously be the farthest she's ever been in this race. So what a heartbreak for her. And Wilco had done so well up to that point as well, getting himself in a position to make things happen. So as it stands now, Wilco and her, I think they're just going to be having to park it for the end of the night.
Yeah, definitely some big problems for her, and that's definitely an unfortunate way. I don't think that was the way she was wanting to end the night, and that's definitely not the way I wanted her to end the night. But we still have a few laps to go, and that's for the 54. With that gamble he made earlier, this caution wasn't what he wanted to see. He wanted them to stay green and go all green all the way, because now these guys saving for some fuel might have a chance. We'll have to see if anyone decides to go down pit road and top the tank off. It looks like 36 is going to shade below the yellow line, and the 36 will give up his lead to take fuel, and that's very unfortunate because it doesn't look like there's any other trucks that are going to follow him down.
Like Van der Vorst comes down, and I don't know if he got much damage, but he did get a little bit damage. Then Nicholas Nugent, he comes down pit road as well and slides through his box just a little bit, but still in it. And I think Michael Priester as well, he's going to come down and get some service on that machine. Just a few trucks, but like you said, all these drivers that are coming down, they're coming down for fuel. Obviously, they couldn't have made it the whole way, so that's definitely a topic of interest, that these drivers would have tried to make it on fuel to the end, and now they're just making sure that they're going to, or they just weren't going to. So Michael, he'll lead right now, and then you've got Formosa in second. Haven't talked about Scott Formosa at all today. And then Aaron Bennett, I don't know if we talked about him a little bit, but we said that he was trying to play the more conservative route, and that's really benefited him. You've got Tim Matthews in fifth, who's kind of rebounded a little bit from pitting, like you said earlier.
Yeah, so we're going to have to keep an eye on Justin Michael, because I don't know how much fuel he's got left in that tank. It might prove to be very close coming to the end, because there's still a good number of laps left to go. And when we go green, there's still going to be probably around 15 laps left. So I don't know if he's got enough fuel in that truck to make it to the end. He's definitely going to be trying to save as much as he possibly can during this yellow flag. And he's going to have to hope for another caution at some point if he wants to be able to safely make it.
Yeah, I bet there's still a few drivers, and maybe Justin Michael, and Formosa and Bennett are ones. Actually, Bennett did pit with Tim Matthews that time, so Bennett's good to go, and maybe Formosa is too. I'm actually, I'm not sure on that, but those two I think are in good shape. The only one I think I'd be concerned about is Justin Michael on fuel, but even then, he might be saving right now. He might be able to save enough fuel to get the end. And the least amount of fuel you have in the truck, of course, Kelly, the faster you go. Only the bad thing about that, it means it's easier to also lift your tires off the ground, because there's not a lot of weight back there. So with these guys going single file under the caution conditions, there's only 16 drivers out of 39 that are on the late lap. Cautions have plagued a few of these drivers, and there hasn't been very many, Kelly. Just the ones that we've had have taken out a couple drivers.
Yeah, the ones that we have had have been large accidents, because these guys, it just happens, that unfortunate situation when you have a large group so tightly wound. And another thing is, these guys don't have the fast repairs a lot of other series do run, so they are forced to be more conservative, which is a good thing. These guys, they know that they've only got one shot at this. They can't make some silly mistake or some wild attempt at a pass in lap 3. So that has forced them to be a bit more calm and conservative, and that has led to a bit of a cleaner race. But for a few of these guys, it has also led for them their nights ending due to just some bad luck of other drivers spinning out in front of them. But at the moment right now, we've got Justin Michael in the lead, so he's going to have to be careful as well, because if the guy behind him decides to just get a little antsy, he could just bump that rear end a little bit too much, lift those rear tires off the ground, and easily end his night as well.
Looking through this top 10, it's quite an interesting statistic right now. You've only got four trucks that actually started in the top 10. The rest of them started in 23rd, 28th, 12th, 35th, 30th, and 29th. All really far away, except for Joshua Banks, he started in 12th. But all these other drivers I just kind of love the fact that, you know, your race isn't truly over till it's over. And some of these guys, they have damage. You know, I see a little bit of damage on Formosa. I see a little bit of damage on, I think that's Cody Gibson. No, actually his truck looks pretty clean, but Bobby Terrell, he's got a little bit of damage as well. Robert Gilmore, I thought, had a ton of damage earlier. He's in 8th place right now, and Joshua Banks, and you know, he's there as well. So, you know, a lot of trucks still in this, even though they've got a little bit of damage. Of course, those trucks that don't have damage, the Justin Michael, the Aaron Bennett, the Tim Matthews, they're going to be in an amazing position to get a good finish, or if not a win right now, as we've got 15 laps to go, and we'll get the green flag this lap.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how these guys react, because some of these guys haven't been up to the front at all tonight. Scott Formosa and Aaron Bennett, these guys have spent the entire night working their way through the field, and now it's their first shot at even restarting inside of the top 10, I believe. And Scott Formosa is now sitting there leading that outside line. So it'll be interesting to see how he reacts to Justin Michael's start. And we'll have to see if Justin Michael jumps the start as well as much as he did last time. Because, as I said, it's something you want to do at those 1.5 milers in the short tracks. It's not something you want to do at a super speedway. And if he attempts it again, he might get burned.
We'll have another restart here, possibly the last one. We'll see if we can go on board with Aaron Bennett on this restart. I think that'll be a cool deal to see with the number 3. He's been there all night, and he has the BNC Lawn Landscaping colors on his machine. So pace car is going to be off and away. Justin Michael, he will restart these guys, and like you said, a little bit more reserved. He's going to keep these guys in check, but he's going to get a big push from the 3 right here. Aaron Bennett is having a great push on this restart, and he's going to have a couple drivers behind him. He's going to have the 7 behind him, and they're going to leave that outside lane a little bit out to dry. And look at the 54 right behind him. He's going to give the number, looks like Formosa. He's going to, Formosa, look at the 3 on the outside. He's going to try for the pass. He's going to have the 7 in tow. Cody Gibson's going to give a big push, and like it happened last time, Michael is going to get passed.
Aaron Bennett with a great move, had some good momentum, got the 7 to go with them, and they have pushed themselves up to the lead. The 3 gets clear, but does not get the 7 clear, and he's going to stay with his friend with the number 7, and that gives Justin Michael time to counterattack with the help of Tim Matthews and retake the race lead before we get to the start-finish line. So this 3 and the 7 on the outside trying to battle for the lead, can't quite get it. The 87, the 54 on the inside, they're going to hold on to that race lead.
I'm really surprised that the 3 of Aaron Bennett didn't stay to the bottom and try and get that lane cleared, just because of the fact that, you know, he's only got 1 help on the outside, but maybe he's true to the 7 of Cody Gibson. We'll never know exactly how it works out. You know, your friends are where you find them in a lot of places, and he still has great momentum right now. The 7 is giving him a great push right now, and looks like the 36 of Joshua Banks, he's in 5th position right now. He was in 8th just a couple of laps ago, so he's trying to give a good push as well. And I think the 7 actually has a little bit of front end damage. That's Cody Gibson. So, you know, basically, if you've got someone that gives a good push, try and stay with them. But, you know, this 4-car group, we've been seeing the first 4 cars of the pack just kind of be like this all race long right now.
Yeah, but now some of these other drivers are starting to catch up to them. Joshua Banks now catching up to the 7 on the outside. He's got some good speed. He easily made his way up to the track to those trucks, and he's kind of pushing on the corner. That's a dangerous place to push. He's now going to dive down to the inside line in front of the 14. That was almost getting risky. If he pushed that corner, the 7, he could have easily turned him around. And now he's going to try to see if he can help out that inside line. Maybe if he can help them enough, he can jump in front of that outside line. And I think that's maybe his strategy to jump to the race lead here, is to push the inside enough to clear the 3 and the 7, and then jump up in front of the 3 and try to see if he can get them to push him to the lead.
My goodness, Joshua Banks has a very fast truck. His left rear is destroyed, but that doesn't keep him from being one of the fastest trucks. He's going to turn him around. And looks like we're going to have a wreck in turn number 1, right behind Justin Michael.
And that is a big wreck. There are a lot of trucks damaged. I don't know how many people are left at this moment. There are a lot of trucks that just got caught up in that, and I don't think anyone really got through that clean. Looks like maybe Scott Formosa got through that, and Cody Gibson, and that might have been it. That might have been it from that top group. I think Rich Jetty's the only other truck on the lead lap to have made it through that. everyone else has been caught up. So there is a lot of trucks with damage, and that's going to help Justin Michael in more ways than one. He's going to get the opportunity to save some fuel, and he's going to be possibly one of the only guys left with no damage after that huge wreck.
Joshua just had so much momentum. I just don't know if he knew what to do with it. I don't even think he was on the throttle when he turned the 54 right there. And, you know, I just can't imagine that Joshua knew how much he was. I don't think he realized how quick he was. He was so fast. And when he had the momentum, I think he got off the gas and just still had the momentum and tried to turn back down to defend his position. And it was just one of those too late kind of things. So, you know, the race is shaping up to be kind of a survival of the fittest kind of deal. And so, you know, Joshua Banks is still out there. You know, he's still racing, and a lot of guys involved in that accident are not. You know, we've got a lot of drivers that their nights have ended on a lot of occasions, and the driver who's caused them are still out there. And I don't think that's anything. I don't think that's a wrong deal. I mean, I think you know, it's kind of just the way plate racing is, and a lot of other kinds. You know, short track racing, intermediate track racing. It's just kind of the way it's been. And I think for those drivers, it kind of puts a sour taste in their mouths that they don't get to race anymore in that kind of situation. But I think. I don't think we can really blame him for going as fast. I mean, it's 10 laps to go right now, and we're only going to get one restart till it's all over. I think we might get one extra one, but these guys have just been so fast towards the front.
Yeah, we saw that 36 had a lot of speed, and he was just trying to find a way around, and looks like there was just a bit of a checkup. He just wasn't quite squared up. The guy in front of him moved up a little bit, and instead of hitting the dead center of the rear bumper, he ended up just hitting the corner, hooking him up a little bit, and that's what caused that main issue. So another thing, if you're going to bump draft, you got to make sure that truck is completely square. If you're going to hit the corner like that, we saw him nearly hit the corner of the 7, and that would have caused another accident back there. So if you're going to bump draft, you got to make sure you are completely square. You're going to have a situation like we saw there.
The 14 trucks are on the lead lap now, and we will have just about a handful of laps left whenever it comes to green flag conditions again. So, you know, the race has definitely been, I think, a little bit unpredictable. You know, they were so, you know, we talked about how clean these drivers have been throughout the last season, you know, and they still will continue to be throughout the season. You know, this group of drivers is so disciplined. I think, you know, plate racing is definitely taking its toll for some of these drivers, but, you know, they're still, I think, pretty. I don't know what the word I'm looking for, but they've been still really solid tonight. I think just right now they're kind of getting caught in the action right now and getting just trying to get that win. Really, I think that's what it comes down to, and really just getting really aggressive, trying to get every position, every motive that they can.
And I don't think this race definitely isn't finished quite yet. There are a few trucks in this field that still have some speed left in them, and they get the opportunity to try to challenge Justin Michael for that lead. They're going to make an attempt. So if they've got that gap, they might try to go for it. The other thing is we might have some fast trucks caught up behind some trucks that have damage, so that might also cause us a few more problems. But it doesn't look like there's many trucks left without damage after that last big wreck.
While we pace under the yellow flag at this point, we'll definitely want you, all of our viewers, to check out all of our other series that are going on throughout the week. On Mondays, we've got the RSR Full Throttle Cup Series, and on Wednesday, we've got the Myrtle Beach Simulation Series and the CEA. Well, it's just all the CEAs. I'm having a brain fart here, Kelly. I just can't think of the darn series name at the top of my head. But the CEA, they'll be on the Wednesday nights, and then the Super Speedway Cup Series, it regularly is on Friday nights, and then, of course, on Saturday nights at 10 p.m. Eastern, as you're watching right now, is United Sim Racing BNC Lawn and Landscaping Truck Series. And so we've got 4 regular series right now, and the RSR Cup Series is actually getting really dicey. They're going into their second round of the playoffs, and so we'll continue to watch that on Monday, 2 nights from now, as that starts to heat up. But Justin Michael up front, Scott Formosa second, Rich Jetty, and he's been up there so many times, Kelly. Jetty's been up there like more than 3 times, and has just kind of went back and has come back to the front. So I'm watching Jetty right now to maybe make some moves here.
Yeah, but he's also got some heavy damage to that truck. That right side of that truck has been beat up. He's got some damage to the right rear, damage to the right front. So if he is going to make a move, it's going to have to be within the draft. I mean, I think Scott Formosa's got a good chance as well. His truck's looking pretty clean. But Justin Michael is definitely sitting pretty right now because his truck isn't damaged. He has the best advantage in that clean air because he doesn't have any extra drag. Some of these guys with damage, they may be fast in the draft, but as soon as they get the clean air, it's going to be like dumping a parachute at the back because they just got those extra bits of metal just kind of sticking out from all this damage. So Justin Michael, he's definitely sitting in the driver's seat right now.
That he is. We have the 1 lap till green signal from the pace car. Lights are off. We'll have 6 laps to go when they get the green flag. And I will say, I have looked throughout the field at all the trucks to see which one's in the most pristine condition. It is your leader, Justin Michael. He hasn't had to worry about a thing with any of the drivers. I don't think he's even made contact. He said this is from bump drafting or being bump drafted. So, you know, definitely looking at 87. I don't think any truck is as clean as his. And I think maybe the next one is Michael Priester, but he's still got some damage as well. And Scott Formosa actually does have some pretty good front-end damage. But, you know, if you've got a lot of drivers with you, you can do what you need to do. You know, if Michael's on the bottom by himself and you've got a string of damaged cars on the outside, it'll work. You know, it doesn't have to be the most clean car that wins the race. And I think out of one clean car, the rest of them, this'll be pretty interesting.
Yeah, I do see a few other trucks in the field that don't have any damage, so they may have that opportunity to challenge Justin Michael for the lead. But Justin Michael just gonna have to see if he can work this draft as well as he can, because if a few guys do group up and they are only lightly damaged, they may be able to challenge for this if he's left all alone on that bottom side.
This might be the final restart of the night. iRacing official pace car is going to step out of the way, and which driver will get the advantage here? Looks like a little bit of confusion on the restart back in the pack, but nonetheless, Justin Michael gets himself a good restart. Formosa, Jenny, they are side by side for their positions as well, and Michael, he'll look like he wants to block the outside, knowing that he's been passed twice like that, and oh, looks like a little bit of contact for second place.
Yeah, Formosa came right down trying to work the side draft, just went a little too far and leaned on the 93. As we mentioned, he's got a little bit of damage, but he's been quick, so we'll have to see if he can make a challenge here. And Formosa just looks like he's got too much damage to really work on anything, but he also doesn't have any help on that outside line as they're starting to look at the 93. He's weaving all over the place, trying to see if he can maybe get someone to go with him on that outside.
And he needs the help. You know, he can definitely try and make the move, but I think we're at the point in the race where it looks like a little bit of contact behind him. It looks like we're at the point in the race where if you're going to help somebody, you've got to be 100% committed to them. 5 laps to go this time, and there he goes. The 64 of Michael Priester goes to the high side, and he is not alone. He does have the 80 of Formosa behind him. Will he have enough momentum to catch Justin Michael? He's definitely one of the fastest trucks up here in this group of 5, but I don't know if he's going to be able to get there. He's out his rear end. He's almost to his door. I just don't think he's got the momentum, at least at the moment.
I think that's the cleanest truck I can see in this group of 6 out here. So I think he's got the best opportunity to challenge for this win, but he just has to have someone help him to be able to catch Justin Michael. And he got up to him last time, but now Scott Formosa's moved to the inside, and now he's got no help on that outside. So he needs to find someone that'll come up and push him on that high side, because I don't think there's any damage to that 64 truck. If he just gets someone up on his bumper, he may have a chance to win this race, but he's just being left out to dry right now.
And James Dunn has a ton of damage on his front end. I think he's the roadblock to get up there, knowing that I think if Formosa knew that he had that damage, he wouldn't be pushing him. But they do get a single file line. They do get the momentum. And what does he do? He's going to give him a bump. So not at the moment. They're not going to see the momentum yet. And I think that might actually be a smart idea from Rich Jetty, is to wait, because I think if you make the move now, you're going to go to the back of the line. And that's kind of exactly what happened to Michael Priester. He just went to the back of that 5-car line. And I think it's one of these 5 drivers right now. One of these 5 drivers right now is going to be in a good position to make something happen. So, you know, it's I think it's a matter of waiting game and when to go. Because when one driver goes, it's going to be a matter of going with them or leaving them. And right now, if you go, you're going to get left.
Yeah, you have to make sure if you're going to go now that you are going to have someone stick to your bumper. So a lot of these guys, they may not make that move until the last lap. We got 3 more laps to go. So at this track, there is still a lot of time. And look, the 64 peeking out once again, but he's got no momentum and no one behind him to push. So I don't think Michael Priester's got a chance at this anymore. He just can't quite build up the momentum now, as these trucks are actually starting to space out a little bit here.
And that might be the worst thing for Justin Michael, is the fact that space means the ability to have momentum. And we'll get 2 laps to go at the stripe. So popsicle sticks in the air. Michael has only 2 more laps to go to win this race, but it could be spoiled by one of these drivers behind him. None of them started within the top 15. James Nunn started in that 15th position, so these guys have come from all over the place. 29th, 15th, 23rd, 27th in that top 5. Then you've got Justin Michael, who started in the top 5, who's been there basically all day. We'll just have to see which driver peeks out to try and pass.
As they come around turns 3 and 4 for the second to last time. Looks like a little bit back in the field. Scott Formosa's peeking up on that high side along with that 64 giving a push. Michael Priester's going to try to give a push down that high side. And looks like everyone's trying to look for a line now, but they're going to get cut off a little bit by lap traffic. And white flag in the air last time around this racetrack now. Justin Michael has just got to hold these guys off for 2.5 miles. They go 3 wide into turn 1.
3 wide is not going to work. He's going to crash the... Oh, wow, they're still going forward, but look at Justin Michael. He's got himself so much room between these guys. There's wrecking behind them, and it looks like Michael Priester will be the only driver to make it out of that undamaged, but Justin Michael looks like he's got himself a clear road ahead, and there's absolutely no challenge behind him. Priester has no help. James Nunn and Formosa are battling for position. So it looks like coming off turn number 4, Justin Michael, in a stunning finish on the last lap, will be able to coast across the start-finish line and win the race here for the season opener of the Daytona 250, presented by B&C Lawn and Landscaping.
Yeah, just a great run throughout the night from Justin Michael. Kept it up front, kept himself out of trouble. And just as rewarded with that race win, just being purely the only truck out there to stay completely clean this entire race. Maybe a few others. I think Michael Priester might also be undamaged as well. But that was a great run from Justin Michael.
There's consistency, and I think that's what I got to put it to him, is that, you know, no matter what happened, he didn't waver. He didn't do anything differently. He made sure that he stood his ground and was kind of there the whole time. And look at Michael Priester, just being kind of like in the right place at the right time, was able to weave through whatever happened in turn 1, which is definitely just kind of a cluster of everything, really. But in the end, Michael gets another victory, and we've seen him win a lot of races last season, and this is the start to, I think, for him would be a great season. And so he was definitely a playoff contender last season, so this is definitely a great way to start out this season, as he's going to burn it down right in front of us.
Yeah, if you want a good way to start the season, winning the first race at Daytona is always a good way to start. So Justin Michael currently already putting himself right up top of that driver's leaderboard. I'd love to see if he can carry that momentum on to next week in Atlanta.
Yeah, that's definitely a huge change, is that these guys will go from the high banks here to the pretty high banks at Atlanta. That's you know, at the fast-paced track there. So, you know, we'll go through the full field rundown and show you where all your drivers, maybe your favorite drivers, placed here tonight. Justin Michael, as we're seeing him on the front stretch, he gets the victory, as we're seeing him still celebrate. And then Michael Priester finished second, 1 second behind Justin Michael. And then you've got James Nunn third. Scott Formosa finished 4th. Michael Warren finished in the 5th position. Bobby Terrell finished 6th place. Stephanie Lessentine rallied to a 7th place finish. Really good job for her. And then Nicholas Nugent finished 8th. Rich Jetty finished 9th. And Ralph Vander Voorst finished 10th.
11th, we'll see the 7 of Cody Gibson. Stephen Herring finishes 12th. 13th is the 88 of Jamie Walker. Scott Simley, our 2-time defending champion, comes home in 14th. 15th, Michael Waite. Randy Tesser comes home 16th. 17th goes to Joshua Banks. 18th, George Hendricks. Aaron Bennett rounds out the 19th. And finishing in 20th comes in the 4 of Robert Gillenwater.
And Matthew has had heartbreak at the very end. finishing 21st, and then John Jenkins finished 22nd. Channing Slatcha finishes 23rd. Jeff Ryan 24th. John Wilco had a good race until had that accident in turn number 2. He'll finish in the 19th or the 25th position. Mark McCrary 26th. Brian Hitz will finish 27th. Corey Harridges finishes 28th. Matt Mara 29th, and then Lewis Robinette 30th.
31st, we see Ricky Howell Jr. Randy Yoakum comes home 32nd. 33 goes to the 11 of Shane Hawther. Chris Guibault comes home 34th. 35th to the 01 of Dwight Beverly. Jesse Williams at 36th. 37th, we see Michael Waters. Michael Atkins Jr. comes home 38th, and rounding out our 39 truck field is the 04 of Brian Cutts.
So for the opening race of the United Sim Racing's BNC Lawn and Landscaping Truck Series, it comes to a close, and we'll talk to Justin Michael, Michael Priester, and James Nunn here in just a little bit, but we'll take a break between that. Just a really short one, probably about a minute, and you won't want to miss it. We'll be right back here on LSRTV.
Hi guys, I'm Scott Speed, driver of this amazing Volkswagen Beetle GRC car. I got good news for the iRacing fam. We got this coming in. I'm currently working on it myself personally to make sure that it is as accurate as possible. With the addition of dirt and now this mean car, it is gonna be so fun. And it's gonna be available free to all the iRacing members. Personally, I can't wait to get out there and race you guys on it.
Welcome back to Daytona as we wrapped up tonight's 250 here, and with BNC Lawn and Landscaping as the title sponsor, definitely want to thank them for coming on board. And just as soon as we wrap this one up, we'll talk to Justin Michael here in Victory Lane. Justin Michael, the 87 Victory Lane once again. It's been a little bit since we've seen you in action, and good to see you again. And it's also, I think, a great way to start the season for you here in Victory Lane at Daytona. Tell us about it. Tell us about your race. I think you had one of the cleanest trucks out there, and for you, it looked like it was kind of smooth sailing on that last lap.
I tell you, last restart there, I was kind of looking in my mirror trying to check everybody's truck, and it looked like we were on the last lap at Martinsville. But yeah, we had a clean truck. I think we were the only one to keep it clean the whole race, and it definitely played out in our favor. And then that last wreck there on the last lap, just no pressure after that. I was afraid they might get lined back up and try to make a charge there going down the backstretch, but luckily it didn't pan out that way.
Now for you are one of only a few drivers that started in the top 5 that ended up in the top 10. Only 3 drivers from the top 10 actually finished inside the top 19. So with those drivers up front, typically it looked like they found a little bit of trouble. For you, it looked like you were up there towards the top 5. I don't think you went lower than that all day. Kind of explain what your strategy was going throughout, because it seemed like you were always kind of towards the front.
Yeah, no, we hung around the top 5 all night, and if I would have dropped back any lower than that, I think I would have fell to the very back of the main pack just to stuff, because it seemed like you just really weren't safe anywhere unless you were leading. I guess even then it was the safest place to be tonight for sure.
Well, as we continue on for this season, of course, Atlanta is next week, and you have won a lot of races last season, and starting off this season with a win, I think for you is definitely a big momentum starter for you, and a lot of guys who finish in the top 5. You know, you Priester, Nunn, Formosa, Warren at the top 5, and you all, were fighting for that lead there towards the end, and I think going into Atlanta, is this? I don't remember if this is a track in particular that you're good at, but do you guys have a good, strong plan for Atlanta next week?
I tell you, I most likely will be missing next week because I'll be in Talladega watching the NASCAR race. But I'm debating on taking my wheel with me and digging up a laptop here at the house to take with me. But we'll see what happens. So if I'm there, you'll know I'm running on Wi-Fi on at the Ramada Inn. So that'll be fun for sure.
Well, make sure you bring a plenty of. I don't know if you've got one of those jet packs, but I think that might help you because the internet at the hotel may not suffice enough for that. But of course, as always, you do get the win. You know how the drill goes. Tell us who makes it happen for you, and if you have any shout outs.
Yeah, just thank everybody out there watching. I know one of my friends at work, Henry's out there watching, and he's already been sending me some text messages. I appreciate him watching, and just Aaron and the guys for putting the leg on. It's they put a real good group of guys together, and pretty talented here, and a lot of tough competition, so it should be a good season.
All right, well, glad to see you as always, and we may not see you next week, and if we do, I think maybe it's dumb luck that you're able to do it with a laptop and traveling around, but we'll just have to see. So we'll see you next week or maybe the week after.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
All right, there you have it. The 87 of Justin Michael gets the win. A very important win to start off the season, but also somebody who's made an important finish tonight is Michael Priester, and Kelly Dahl has caught up with him.
Yeah, I'm here with our second place finisher, Michael Priester, driver the number 64. Now, Michael, you started all the way back in 27th, electing to not take a qualifying time. Was that always your plan to start from the back, or did you just have some issues arise in qualifying?
No, when it comes to these restrictor plate tracks, I pretty much always start in the back. Nowadays, these trucks handle a little bit differently than what they used to, so I knew they were kind of squirrely when you started bump drafting with them, and I knew there was going to be some big wrecks, so I just figured I'd hang out in the back and let things sort themselves out, and eventually made our way to the front.
It sounds like a battle of attrition had always been in the cards for you, but were you expecting to really work out the way it was with you being one of, I think, maybe 2 trucks in the entire field left without damage?
No, I never would have thought that I would have had no damage there at the end. I actually did get involved in one wreck, but I didn't. I got like 10 seconds of damage, so I got it fixed under caution, and my truck was pretty strong at the end. I felt like I had a shot to win it until those last few laps there when that wreck happened on the last lap.
Well, you were possibly the only person to sneak away from that wreck, and that gives you a good finish for tonight. A second place to start off the season. And next week we head off to Atlanta, but a little bit different. Still high banking, but you gotta lift off the gas, and these tracks can definitely get a little squirrely there. What's your strategy going into Atlanta?
Yeah, Atlanta's never been my best track. I'll really just try to finish. I really wanted to start off with a good finish like I did, and then just kind of build on that. Atlanta, like I said, I'll go into Atlanta with not the highest hopes, but I'll just go in there and try to get a good top 10 run. That's all I'm looking for at Atlanta.
Well, before we let you go there, Michael, we're going to give you the floor and allow you to give a shout out to whoever you'd like to give a shout out to tonight.
Yeah, I'd like to give a shout out to Hippie Paint Shops. They did my paint job on my truck. They do a great job. I also like to give a shout out to USR and all the admins. They do a great job with this league. I enjoy racing with them. I think this is my 3rd season in, and it's been really good racing. The restrictor plate tracks are always going to be, a little bit different than the rest, but the rest of the tracks we usually have good green flag racing. So looking forward to the rest of the year. And a shout out to you guys up there in the booth. Y'all do a great job on LSRTV.
All right, well, thank you very much, Michael, for taking the time to talk to us here, and we'll hopefully see you next week.
Sounds good. See you guys.
All right, I'm going to send it back over to Austin Coop, who's caught up with our 3rd place finisher, the 75 of James Nunn.
Yeah, I've caught up with third place finisher James Nunn here in the 75 machine. It wasn't the last lap that I think you were expecting, but you still got a good finish out of it. Kind of talk to us about the last few laps that you had there, James.
Yeah, I was just trying to give a good push to the truck in front of me, and not sure what happened there going into one, whose fault it was, but got caught up in some incident, and luckily I made it through, and here I am.
You started 15th, and for you, I mean, you had a lot of damage before the last few laps, and to be honest with you, I didn't see your truck really getting the momentum to catch those guys, but you were actually able to, and I don't know if you knew how much damage you had on that front end of that truck, but I mean, it was quite a bit, and you're still able to really get yourself kind of in the position you need to be in case anything did happen, which it did, and you ended up getting a good finish.
Yeah, I had to repair damage twice, so obviously I wasn't able to look at it, but I knew I had some, and I was surprised at how quickly I was able to catch up in the draft. So that was surprising to me. I agree with you.
Yeah, even Kelly was giving me a little whisper there, saying he was agreeing with me to say that truck shouldn't have been up there. But in the end, you were kind of make right decisions, knowing that if you were in clean air, I don't think it would have been able to, or someone was pushing you, I don't think it would have worked out. And I think if you ever would have jetted out, it would have been really hard for you to make any momentum. But you get third tonight. Looking forward to next week, which is Atlanta. You got a game plan for Atlanta next week, or is it going to be kind of like a business as always?
Yeah, I'm just planning on being fast and try not to burn off the tires, save the tires, because I know that's going to be an issue, and then try to keep my nose clean this time.
Well, James, as always, it's a good way to start us off the season with a podium finish, and I know as we've seen you last season, and this will be another good season to watch, and we truly enjoy it up here in the booth. But for you in particular, who makes it happen for you on that 75 machine, or you have any shout-outs to give tonight?
Yeah, I'd like to give a shout-out to Christopher Watkins. Some of the listeners and viewers may know who he is. He's really helped me improve my driving ability past couple months. Also want to give a shout out to Near Built Airboats for allowing me to put their logo on my truck. Go to them for all your airboat needs. And yeah, that's it.
All right, well, there you have it. 75 of James Nunn finishes third. Thanks for giving us some of your time.
Yes, sir. Have a good one.
And there we have it. Top three. We talked to all of them, and now we set our sights on Atlanta. Very fast-paced track. Faster than Daytona at certain points with these trucks. I'm looking forward to it. We'll be here next week, Kelly, and the season starts off with Justin Michael at the top of the podium, and that's a very dangerous thing for a lot of the other drivers wanting to try and cap on getting a good placement at the end of the regular season.
And Atlanta is definitely a track to look forward to. It's definitely a track where whoever has the best truck control is definitely going to shine, because there's not a lot of grip on that racing surface. Those trucks can get sideways very easily, so it's going to be down to who can keep their truck most in line the best and who can really conserve those tires. So it's not going to be just about who can be the fastest around the track, but who can play the long game. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see. I'm definitely looking forward to it.
Well, as we wrap up the night, we do want to give a big thanks to BNC Lawn and Landscaping for their title sponsorship of the series, and Joe Real Tithing for their commitment and help on the broadcast side of things. First of all, from all of us here on LSRTV, Evan Pasoko, DJ Lyon, Laura Lawson, and from the team tonight, myself, Austin Coop, Kelly Dahl, and Cisco Scarmuzza, we want to say goodnight. Thanks for showing up, and we'll see you at the next track.